government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. Let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative deficit reduction, play for the programs many times over. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. We got a night ahead of us. We for sure do have a night ahead of us. What is up, Puffer P, Vicky T, Keith Gregory? Good to see us. Glad you're here. Uranium prices, the whole reason that we actually use uranium is for nuclear energy. And it just so happens to be that there's something going on in the world to actually trigger that. Trump's indictment, yes, he got indicted yet one more time. Why? Because they don't know how to actually keep Trump out their mouths. They feel it necessary to continue over and over again to go after Trump. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They wish they had more, but they don't. And then the leprosy alert. There's a leprosy alert for the United States. Is something kind of disturbing and disastrous in itself. It should be something that we should be interested in actually hitting on. That being said, lots and lots to go through. Let's do this. Everybody ready? All right, here we go. Here we go. Good to see you, Arsh. Well, good to see you too. Good to see you too. Glad you're here. So, 7 watching, 7 likes. Clearly, not everybody's hit that thumbs up button. Hit that like button for me. If you're over on the Rumble side, you can do the same. Hit the thumbs up button. Show the love, show the appreciation, and continue to bring you the same great news every single night. Niger coup triggers global uranium price warning. Rabbit, what's up, dear? Good to see you. The West African nation is the world's 7th largest producer of the mineral, which is widely used for nuclear energy. The price of uranium has doubled over the past 3 years and may surge further in the coming weeks due to the coup in Niger. Who would have thought this little coup that just so happened to have happened in the last few days would trigger such an outbreak for the need for uranium? Good thing Georgia just lit up their nuclear power plant within the last day or so. Very interesting to actually see some of the correlations that actually go along with the need for uranium. The West African nation is the world's 7th largest producer of radioactive material or metal. The warning comes as French nuclear fuel company Orano, which operates Niger's uranium mines, has stated that it has continued to operate despite the coup and plans by France to evacuate its citizens. Orano indicated that 99% of the staff in the country were Nigerian nationals. An event like this could take a bit more time to seep into the market psychology. We could very well still see bigger impacts in the days and weeks to come, said President of the UXC, Jonathan Hines, told Reuters. Still foggy from the meds doctor used for tests. I hate that when they do that stuff. It's just give you more meds. Here, try this one. Try that one. The spot price of uranium, which is widely used for nuclear energy and treating cancer, rose by $56.25 a pound on Monday from 56.15. So, a mere 10 cents, but 10 cents per pound, that does add up very quickly when it comes to, precious metals such as this. According to Heinz, the spot price hasn't changed much because Orno sells uranium at long-term contracts, and the summer months are slow in the spot market. The metals price hit a record high of $140 in 2007, with this coup actually happening in the goings on between um, France uh, and this country of Niger that we're actually in is really seriously something to actually pay attention to, as France really does have a big, huge stake in what actually happens, goes on around this area. So for us to just brush it off isn't going to be something. It's really going to, we're going to feel some impacts um, in and around all energy when it comes down to it. I really seriously see more and more happening. So this last month, the International Energy Agency projected a spike in worldwide demand for critical minerals, including uranium, due to renewed interest in nuclear power amid concerns over Russian supplies. So Russia's actually went ahead and actually have a couple different projects that they're working on, building nuclear power plants. The United States has a couple, and I think there's a misnomer. Hey, Suzanne, how you doing, dear? I did tell you yesterday, if I can, that I'd give you this back, or I told you the day before. Here you go. There's your wrench. According to the European Union Nuclear Agency, or where was I going with this? So Russia has a couple works in play. As far as Georgia actually just going ahead and implementing one themselves, as well as multiple other things happening around nuclear energy. It comes with a misnomer of being thought of as being a horrible instance for use to give us power. Well, when it comes down to it, it really doesn't. It's really considered one of the cleaner of all, with a very, very high output. And I think we all kind of take that for granted, and actually think of it other things like um, the clean energy actually being the wind turbines and the solar panels, which isn't really true, because we have to actually look into it and we actually see what these are actually made of. They're actually made from the fossil fuels that they so badly want to actually step away from. So they're really kind of subverting us when it comes down to it. Is something that we really don't really pay attention to close enough, and it actually gets thrown around like it's something that we should be not really caring about, that the government has under control. And I believe that the government really doesn't have it under control, because if they did, they wouldn't be lying to us all so damn much. 100% vetted and live attendees, that the metal stores are packed, brokers all super busy, as are the gun shops, freedom stackers ungovernable. We're going to get into some gun stuff a little bit later here too, so stick around. Stick around. You might be very interested in what's actually going to happen. The agency said on Tuesday that it saw no immediate risk to nuclear power production in Europe should Niger cut its deliveries of uranium, since utilities in the bloc had sufficient inventories to last for 3 years. Last Wednesday, military coup in Niger saw President Mohamed Bazoum deposed and subsequently detained. The coup leaders have justified their actions as a means of safeguarding the country from deteriorating security situation, as well as poor economic and social governance. So They actually kind of stepped up just a little bit, and they actually, stepped up their game and actually took out this president that was actually World Economic Forum shill in himself, and tried to replace him. It's kind of interesting to actually believe that they're even successful in any way, shape, or form. Yes, this is going to actually impact a lot. What's up, Sean D? Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And it's really interesting. Rose, mine keeps acting like it's loading and I get nothing. Always with Koolfrogg's live. Stupid YouTube. Why? Why? Everything's working fine over here. I'm not having any issues. Um, I don't. Maybe YouTube doesn't like me. Maybe YouTube just doesn't like me. Hopefully, you can actually get that fixed for you and get you going. You see this big highlight at the top: Trump indicted over a Capitol riot. We'll cover that. We'll cover that here in a short bit. Hungarian foreign minister says EU expects to fund war in Ukraine for another 4 years. Now, I'm not going to say that this guy's telling the truth, but I'm not going to say he's lying to us either when it comes down to it. That's a little ridiculous to actually think that they're projecting for the next 4 years that this war is going to be funded by EU. It's not going to end. They're assuming it's not going to end before that. They're going to fund it for the next 4 years, and then what? Then they're going to pull out and they're just going to call it what it is. What the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter has claimed that the member countries of the European Union are expecting to fund the war in Ukraine for at least another 4 years. It costs about 5 billion euros per year. Per year, they're expecting to spend. Well, we got you beat. We got you beat. We've already spent that in like by multiples. By multiples, we're up into somewhere around about $80 billion. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? It's more than that. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. In a video posted online, Sujarto states the European Union thinks there will be war in Ukraine for another 4 years. How many people will die in 4 years? How many Hungarians will die in 4 years? And how much more devastation will be created in the 4 years that someone will then have to repair? The comments prompted the Slovakian Foreign Minister, Wojtowski, to respond. Dear Peter, please do not tell what other people think before you ask them. EU consists of 27 countries. I don't recall any debate when we said that the war will continue for 4 years. War can stop tomorrow. EU is not a problem. Russia is a problem. Or is it? Or is it? Because as long as we continue to allow countries like EU and the United States to fund such a thing, will it actually stop, or will it continue to go? I think if we actually stop funding it, Ukraine would run out of military might and money to continue doing what they're doing, and the money wouldn't be laundered any longer through in and around Ukraine in itself. And we could actually go ahead to the next point of actually allowing Russia to move on or do what they actually want to do. And we could actually see this war end and everybody get what they want and or need. Wojtowski added, Russians go home, let there be peace, 1956, referring to the year that there was an anti-Soviet uprising in Hungary. Okay, good for Hungary to actually be like, well, if they're going to continue, let's throw a peace sign at them and mark out the date that we actually went ahead and stop the Soviets from actually doing something. When Russia It's no longer that. Russia's changed. Russia's a lot different than what it used to be. So let Ukraine become Russian again? Maybe. I don't know. I'm sick of us funding it, though. There's no reason that we need to continue to fund such a thing. The United States should step off and let whatever happens happen. But we're not going to, because for whatever reason, Joe Biden has a huge investment in Ukraine in itself. I believe that if we had any other president in that place, that we wouldn't actually be in this situation, that this is an actual Biden situation, and Biden brought us there just because of all the stuff that happened with him and his son around Ukraine, as well as China, as well as several other countries that they actually have investments in. If they would stop with their investments and thinking that they can launder the money through it, maybe we could actually move on. Wachowski's post has prompted Hungarian Minister of State Thomas Mensker to respond. Minister Wachowski either has a bad short memory, or this is a benign assumption, or he is lying. Mensker further noted that EU foreign ministers agreed at their last meeting to propose financing arms shipments to Ukraine for the next 4 years at a combined cost of about 20 billion euros. The Slovak foreign minister did not oppose the proposal. Mensker continued the posing of the question: if there will be no war in the next 4 years, why should there be financing for arms supplies? Who knows how much more the U.S. will send to Ukraine at that time? This comes as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky commented last week that as long as this war continues, nothing can be enough. Despite Ukraine having received an estimated 165 billion euros already from the Western nations, including the United States, 85 billion, you say 185.6 billion US dollars. A majority of that, because I say the majority of that is sent by the United States, because the rest of that's sent by all these other countries. So it's not just one country or the other that's at fault when it comes to the NATO actually having something to do with this particular situation. I think NATO needs to step off. United States definitely needs to step off and quit spending our money. Canada legal system's waiting to see if what happens if Biden before they go after Trudeau and his ilk. Of course they are. Of course they are, because they want to actually see if what has actually happened in the previous couple of years is actually going to continue or not, or if it's going to actually go away. Or if Biden can actually be held responsible for the stuff that he can be held for, why wouldn't they be able to hold any other leader for what they've done to their countries as well? Not saying that anything that does happen in the United States is actually going to fix Canada's issues, but at the same time, Canada does have its issues, and we know they do, just like we have our own issues. But we're not going to see this end anytime soon. According to what Hungary's actually saying, it's going to continue a lot longer than what any of us would want it to. Kyiv has secret plan and Zelensky is killed. Okay, there you go. If just in case something happens to Zelensky, they have a backup plan, a secret backup plan, to go ahead and be sure that everybody else is going to be fine all at the same time. Really? Mm-hmm. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky were to be killed. He could be replaced by a select team of senior officials from the legal successor acting as a figurehead, Politico reported on Monday. The country's constitution clearly states that the president is unable to fulfill his duties. The chairperson of the Ukrainian parliament, currently Rasen Stefanchuk, who should take over. However, according to the report, the latter figure is not particularly popular with the Ukrainian public, with an approval rating of only around 40%. 40% more than what Joe Biden has, and definitely a lot more than what Kamala Harris has. So what's the difference? What's the difference? You don't need to have a super high rating percentage of people that actually like you to actually be installed as the president of a country. You just need to actually be there, I guess. Every country has a backup plan in cases of assassination. According to Ukrainian officials, analysts interviewed in an outlet, that means that in the event of Zelensky's untimely demise, the country would be steered into a governing council while Stefanchuk would be its formal head. It would also consist of other members, including Audrey Ermak, the head of the presidential office foreign ministry, Dmitry Kaluba, defense minister Alexei Reznikov, a political said Valery Zelensky, who currently heads the Ukrainian's military, is also expected to retain his post, according to the report. Adrian, non-resident senior fellow of the Atlantic Council, told Politico that Kyiv had a strong leadership team and we would see collective government. He added that if something terrible happened to Zelensky, it would not be as decisive as you might think. For them to actually be projecting this type of situation to actually happen is really kind of disturbing to actually understand that they're actually gone ahead and been like, well, let's project this out. And I know, just in case, right? Just in case something happens, what are we going to do? Who's going to run what? And until the country's actually secured, it looks like there'd be a collective government, which kind of eliminates the reason for a president, and it kind of disturbing in itself to realize how far they're going to actually go with this. However, Politico has warned that while this outcome may be limited to impact domestically due to the mixed opinions about the Ukrainian president and the strong sense of national unity, it would shock Kyiv's backers in the West, where Zelensky is widely regarded as an icon of resistance. In May 2022, the Ukrainian president himself said that Kyiv had a plan B accounting for the possibility of death, adding that the country's cabinet had been split into two so that Ukraine would not be left defenseless should the worst come to pass. On March 2022, Mikhail Podolyak, Zelensky's senior advisor, said that his boss had survived more than a dozen attempts on his life, with several Western media outlets speculating that the early days of the conflict that Moscow intended to assassinate the Ukrainian president. Well, I mean, how else are you going to take over? Are you just going to go and arrest him and throw him in a Russian jail? That won't be any good. You got to actually remove him. You got to remove him from the face of the planet, so that way you can actually take over the country and be like, it's now ours. However, in April of the same year, Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov dismissed the notion that Russia had ever had such plans. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, they don't really want the whole country. I don't believe they do. I believe they just want those couple of regions: Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk. And once that's actually fixed and taken care of, they won't go any further. They want what they want. They want what they don't want the whole country. They're not asking for the whole country. But whatever. If they, they're going to hold off aggressions wherever they possibly can until they actually can seize control of those territories and not have anybody fighting against them. Now, Zelensky has a different frame of mind, where he wants those regions to actually be part of Ukraine, and maybe, just maybe, those three regions need to be actually liberated to the point where nobody has control over it, and both sides can actually go fuck off. Maybe, just maybe. I can't actually make up their minds for them, but in my opinion, that might just be the best. Take it away from both, make it sovereign, and be like, this is what's going to happen. This is how we actually protect both sides from actually sharing a border and potentially continuing an onslaught of fighting. Take it away from both. It's easier said than done, obviously. Putin's squad of allies just got a lot more dangerous. Oh no. Top defense officials from Belarus and Iran met in Tehran on Monday in a trip dedicated to solidifying closer military ties between the two countries. The meeting, which took place between Belarusian Defense Minister Viktor Kronin and Iranian Defense Minister Mohammad Reza Ashtiani, follows reports that Minsk is working to convert manufacturing plant in Belarus to produce Shahid drones for Russia. The two leaders signed a memorandum of understanding amidst Tehran military ties during the visit, according to Tehran Times, though it's not clear if the two countries reached an agreement on the Shahid production. Belarus holds a special place in Iran's foreign policy. Of course they do. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they be allied with Russia and still have some kind of really close tie to Iran, like they shouldn't? It's really kind of confusing to actually believe that that's actually the truth. Um, I, I would almost assume that they did come up with some kind of foreign policy agreement to actually go ahead and transfer these drones. There's no way that they would actually be like, nah, and be talking about it. They wouldn't talk about it otherwise. By building Shahid drones in Belarus could contribute to Russia's war effort in Ukraine and help alleviate some of the logistic pressures of transferring the Shahid drones to Russia. According to recent White House assessment, the Shahid drones Russia has been using to attack Ukrainian cities are built in Iran when shipped across the Caspian Sea and later transferred for use in Russia. So, though they're currently being built in Iran, they want to actually transfer it to Belarus so that it would be easier for them to transport. It'd be easy for them to transport, and they don't need all production. They just need to actually take some production so that they can actually say, okay, here you go. We now have military might to actually go ahead and throw some drones around and run them into buildings, just like Ukraine's been doing with Moscow. They just hit financial district again yesterday. They're actually hitting buildings, trying to disrupt as much as they possibly can right in Russian territory. And I get it. You're going to go after the other country, and you're going to do whatever you can to actually eliminate them as easily as possible. Most countries will have their ruler and second command together in case of trouble. No, they will not have their ruler and second command in case of trouble. Usually not. Usually don't see both at the same place at the same time. They usually end up taking and separating them for just that reason. They don't want them both being removed at the same exact time. Usually, even the United States only has their number one and number two together for short spats and periods. I know that there's a couple of clips where you can actually see Kamala Harris standing right behind Joe Biden as he's actually, giving speeches or whatever. But that doesn't happen all the time. Nowhere near happening all the time. Mexico rejects Ukraine peace talks without Russia. So I mean, there's several countries that were actually supposed to go ahead and meet in jihad, and when it comes down to it, there's going to be a lot of countries like Mexico that are not going to allow peace talks to even come close if they can't talk to both sides. Because how do you actually convince the other side is actually okay with whatever's being spoke of if there's nobody there to actually hold that up? It's really kind of difficult to understand. Discussing peace in Ukraine makes sense only with the participation of both Kyiv and Moscow. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said on Monday, adding that because this is not the case with the upcoming talks in Saudi Arabia, his country will not participate. If both Ukraine and Russia agree to seek options to achieve peace in this conflict, we will participate. If the parties in conflict agree to convene for that purpose, the president, known as AMLO, after his initials, said at the press conference, "We do not want the war between Russia and Ukraine to continue. It is very irrational. People suffer a lot, people are dying, and the only benefits go to the war industry, the makers of weapons." The makers of weapons. Yes. They're the ones that are going to benefit the most no matter what. So, they're going to actually, be okay with any kind of fighting. They're never going to say stop. They're going to ask you to continue. And I'm sure they actually felt a little bit of a crunch over the previous 4 years, as there was no new wars, and as far as that goes, there really wasn't that much military might that needed to be transferred into any other country. High-ranking officials from around 30 countries will meet to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on August 5th and 6th to discuss peace in Ukraine, according to the Wall Street Journal. Russia was not invited, however. Russia was not invited, but they're going to talk about peace talks. How are they going to talk about peace talks if Russia's not invited? It just doesn't make any sense. Oh, come on. Come on. Is he back yet? What the heck? Really? All right. So there it's back. How horrible. I'm so pissed off right now. Want me to kick it? No, that might not help. Punching things, hitting things, kicking things doesn't always fix it. The journal describes the Jeddah event as the follow-up to the similar meeting held in June in Copenhagen, where Kyiv and Western backers attempted to persuade countries that had so far chosen to remain neutral to support Ukraine. Discussions are expected to be based on the 10-point peace formula proposed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, which is practice amounts to Russia's unconditional surrender. Russia laughed off Zelensky's formula as unrealistic and delusional. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that Moscow intends to negotiate with the U.S., which he described as pulling Zelensky's strings. So I mean, the shit talk that goes around when it comes down to it is really kind of something to actually watch one country say, well, I'm not going to actually entertain this, and then the next one being like, well, it's delusional, and then you have another guy being, well, they say they'll negotiate, but they're not going to. They're not going to negotiate. They don't want to negotiate. They want to actually keep this going as much as they possibly can, because apparently that's the easiest way for places to make money. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said, however, that any attempts to contribute to peace settlements are worthy of positive assessment and remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told reporters on Monday that the talks in Saudi Arabia will not be useless if they help the West understand that Zelensky's plan has no prospects. So if they can convince the United States to actually just stay out of it, it'll end. It'll end sooner than anybody expects because, the second that you're not there to actually do such a thing, it'll continue to actually do what it needs to do. I'm pissed off right now. This damn computer. Damn computer, stop it. I can see it wanting to actually think. I shut a couple things off so that it wasn't actually using up all the bandwidth or whatever. Shilomang, what up? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Russia sets new record on gas deliveries to China. Energy from Gazprom. Russia's energy major Gazprom set as a new record on Monday as the daily gas deliveries to China through the Power of Serbia mega pipeline, the company has announced. Russia supplies natural gas to its main trading partner under a long-term contract between Gazprom and China's National Petroleum Corporation. The Power of Serbia is part of $400 billion 30-year agreement between Gazprom and CNPC, which is inked in 2014. What's up, Murph Sturf? Good to see you. It really seriously kind of interesting on the goings on with all the natural gas being pumped out of Russia into China. China goes ahead and they have ties with Joe Biden and Hunter. And then you go back and you kind of look at Ukraine and you see the ties with Joe Biden and Hunter and his dealings with Burisma. And it really seriously seems kind of weird how this circle, this quote unquote circle of bullshit that's actually going on, it just so happens to involve Joe Biden tremendously. On July 31st, the supply of Russian gas through the Power of Serbia pipeline once again exceeded the daily contractual obligations. Gazprom delivered all requested volumes and set a new historical record of daily gas supplies to China, the company announced in the statement on its Telegram channel. China currently gets most of its Russian gas through the Power of Serbia mega pipeline, Serbian mega pipeline, which is a section of the so-called Eastern Route. This is partially launched in December of 2019, becoming the first pipeline to supply Russian gas to China. Yo, what up, Jimmy? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Last year, Russia exported 15.5 billion cubic meters of gas to China via Power of Serbia. According to Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, gas supplies to China via the pipeline have reached 22 billion cubic meters in 2023, as Moscow continues to boost energy cooperation with Beijing. Kind of weird and kind of interesting to actually see how much fuel's actually being dumped into China, and then energy companies that are associated with those that we all know so much from all these readings. And then it's really scary. It's really scary to believe where that countries are this proxy war that's actually being fought in Ukraine is really something that's a little bit deeper than what we expect, in my opinion. I think that this is happening for a reason, and if Joe Biden would step down, we maybe not have all of the issues that we actually have. But he's not going to do such a thing. He's going to want to stay there because he knows he makes a heck of a lot of money through the money that's being laundered through that region. Kind of move on from the world news a little early tonight. I'm just so sick of talking about him. What's up, Boomer? Good to see you, dear. GOP rep rebukes Democrats. We have more on Biden than they wish they had on Trump. Republican Rep Byron Donalds, Republican out of Florida, has ripped congressional Democrats as evidence mounts against President Joe Biden and his family. Donalds warned that there is far more evidence against Biden than the Democrats ever had when they impeached President Donald Trump. The congressman who was responding to the whistleblower Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's longtime friend and business partner, gave an explosive testimony before Congress on Monday. Archer said he was involved in at least 20 business meetings that Joe Biden joined. We went through this in depth yesterday on this particular instance of Archer and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's, knowing each other, how well they knew each other. Archer and Hunter actually got along very, very well. Said to each other that they loved each other, tremendously. If in some of the stuff that you could actually read through and actually see about this, so to believe that Archer's actually standing up to these people and he's not going to be worried about anything, like nothing's going to ever happen to him, is kind of, I think that eventually we're going to hear that, Archer's no longer alive and may have assumingly unalived himself. The testimony adds further damning evidence to the allegations of influence peddling, bribery, and money laundering against the Bidens. Donald accused the Department of Justice of trying to cover up for the Biden family by offering the president's son Hunter a sweetheart plea deal. As Slate News reported, the DOJ attempted to quietly push through blanketed immunity for Hunter Biden in the future charges that may emerge. That plea deal was designed to cover up the corruption surrounding Joe Biden and his family, especially when you look at the facts that the FARA violations were buried in the gun charge. And now that Devin Archer has come forward and said, he confirms the fact that not only was Hunter operating under the unregistered foreign agent, but that his daddy was always on call. If my wife and my son says, "Hey, Dad, come to dinner," the first question is who's at dinner? When it was Donald Trump, they moved quickly to a phone call. No other corroboration, just a phone call. Frankly, it was about the same allegations that pan out to be true about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They don't care about the paper trail. They care Joe Biden has done the Democrats' bidding when it comes to the policy of federal government, and they want to protect it. In about 6 months of investigation, we have more than they wish they had on Donald Trump. And that all comes from Byron Donalds today, actually speaking out against this particular situation. And he's not going to actually, Republicans shouldn't actually step down from any of this. What's up, Tweety? Good to see you, dude. They shouldn't actually step down from this in any way, shape, or form. Everybody needs to actually wake up to the situation and actually hold this guy, Mr. Joe Biden, responsible for any and everything that he's actually been doing for the last 50 years. I really do believe that he's done a lot more that we don't know about. Why? Because why would he just all of a sudden just so happen to be in 2014 that he decided to actually turn corrupt? I doubt that happened. I would almost assume that there's a lot more to it. I just had Moose go lay down. He fell asleep in Discord again. Sleepy Moose, a sleepy working Moose. Hopefully he sleeps well and he can do his job proper tomorrow. We'll see him sometime after 4 o'clock, I'm sure. His time anyway. It usually has a tendency to be. Breaking details of latest Trump indictment released, including conspiracy to defraud the United States. They're gonna go. They're just gonna continue to actually try finding anything and everything they possibly could on this guy, because they just don't like him. They just don't. Orange man bad. Let's do whatever we can to actually go after him. And they threw a couple more indictments at him. Like there wasn't enough that he was already trying to actually fight off. Let's throw some more. Let's throw some more. Watch in a week there'll be some more. Why? Because they've actually found things on Joe Biden, and they don't want us to actually pay attention to him. They don't want us to actually think that Joe Biden has anything to do with any. As Red State reported, Donald Trump has been indicted at federal level again. Special counsel Jack Smith, appointed by AG Merrick Garland to probe the former president on various fronts, has charged Trump with 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the United States. Those charges come less than 2 months after the DOJ brought charges related to the classified documents that were retained at Mar-a-Lago and allegedly shared with others in violation of the Espionage Act. The full text of the latest indictment can be found at the end of this piece. So count 1. The allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 4 in an indictment are alleged and fully incorporated here in reference. The conspiracy on or about the 14th of November through the 20th of January 2021 in the District of Columbia and elsewhere, the defendant did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to co-conspirators known and unknown to the grand jury to defraud the United States by using dishonesty, fraud, and deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful federal government function by which the result of the presidential elections are collected, counted, and certified by the federal government. Nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong here. Yep, because it's exactly what happened, right? We're all going to go along with that. We all agree that Joe Biden is the most legitimate president ever with the most votes. He's the most popular person on the face of the planet. And when it comes down to it, all of a sudden, oh, here, there's a couple more. Here, let's throw something more at him because he's potentially slipping away from us as they keep on finding more and more stuff on Joe Biden. We should actually continue to go after Donald Trump even harder, and see if we can't actually get the people to look away from what the actual issue is and go after this guy. This particular indictment or whatever, it's like 34 pages of indictment in here. You can see these other counts. So then count 2, allegation contained in paragraph 1 through 4 of this indictment, realleged and fully incorporated herein by reference from the 14th to the 7th of January, or 14th of November 2020 to the 7th of January 2021. In the District of Columbia and elsewhere, the defendant did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to co-conspirators known as unknown to the grand jury to corruptly obstruct, impede, peacefully and patriotically march. An official proceeding that is certification of electoral vote. So they went ahead. They're going to actually be like, okay, so now not only is it about the J6 stuff or whatever, but it also has to do with the way he actually believes other things happen in other states. That certain things just didn't happen the way he assumes that they did. Count 3, the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 4 and 8 throughout 123 of the indictment are realleged and fully incorporated here by reference from on or about November 14, 2020 through January 7th. On the District of Columbia and elsewhere, the defendant attempted and did corruptly obstruct and impede an official proceeding that is certification of particular electoral votes. He did all of this, and he's actually being looked at as being wrong for doing any of it, and they should actually indict him again. And come up with yet another reason to indict him, because I don't think there's enough indictments out there to actually stop him from doing what he actually wants to do, and that's to run again. Do you think he's going to actually stop running? He's not going to stop. He's going to continue to do whatever it is that he wants to do. Um, so then from November 14th, 2020 through January 2021, District of Columbia and elsewhere, the defendant did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators, known and unknown to the grand jury to count for, to injure, oppress, threaten, and intimidate one or more persons in the free exercise and enjoyment of the right of privilege secured by them in the Constitution of laws of the United States, that is the right to vote and to have one's votes counted, which is true. It should totally always be that. But why didn't we do the same thing when it came to those that actually destroyed multiple cities during the Summer of Love, right around just before the same time? To actually see what they did to this country. It destroyed buildings, multiple federal buildings, not just one, multiple federal buildings, and attacked so many other businesses, burnt, looted, and rioted, and maybe even got away with some murder if necessary. They could have done whatever they wanted to do because they were actually being allowed to by them Democrats that said we must take to the streets, and if you see them out there, you must push back and you must actually fight them, go after them, corner them, and make them be what how you want them to be. But the second that the tables turn, they're like, oh, wait a minute, look what they did. Look what they did. Oh. The charges involve several different offshoots of Trump's alleged activities following the 2020 election, which counts one of the four appearing to be related to the fact elector scheme that he and his team pushed, while counts 2 and 3 seem related to the events of J6. Several of the charges carry up to 20 years in prison each. Because he's not already looking at 400 years, so let's go add another 100 years to it. Like, that's going to make a difference. He's old. For you could put a year on each one of these charges and it's still going to be too much. He's not going to live through it if you actually go ahead and you actually find him guilty on any of this in any way, shape, or form. One part of the indictment begins on page 7, lays out Trump's comments behind the scenes, stating that he knew he had lost in 2020. And he knew that he did, and it wasn't something that we really needed to even question. Another big revelation in the indictment is that there were 6 co-conspirators who will also presumably be charged. Some of the identities can likely be gleaned in the descriptions provided. Now, there's been a couple people like Vivek Ramaswamy who's actually stepped forward and actually said if things come to worse and they actually do anything and he becomes president in any way, shape, or form, that he would actually go ahead and he would let Trump out. Because even he alone, even though he actually believes some of it happened, still doesn't believe that any of this that's going on should actually happen, because it's actually just going to turn things bad. It's going to turn things really bad real quick. You're going to see both sides continuously going after each other and everybody else that they possibly can for all of the crimes that have occurred. Get rid of them all. Both sides, wipe the slate clean, start over with people who have no clue about what has actually previously happened, and it would start from there. Let's start from there, because whatever we're doing now is obviously not working, other than pissing off the general population. The defendant enlisted co-conspirators in the assist the criminal efforts to overturn legitimate results in 2020 presidential election, retain power. Among these were a co-conspirator number 1, the attorney who was willing to spread knowingly false claims. Let's bring Dershowitz up in there. Okay. Conspirator number 2, the attorney who advised and attempted to implement the strategy of leverage in the vice president's ceremonial role. Maybe that one's Dershowitz. Can't think of what the other lawyer was. There's a couple of them though. So then you got co-conspirator number 3, the attorney who unfunded claims of election fraud. Co-conspirator number 4, the Justice Department official who worked in civil matters. Co-conspirator number 5, the attorney who assisted in devising the attempt to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of electors. And co-conspirator number 6, a political consultant who helped implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding, which, okay, so they're going to go after him in any way, shape, or form that they possibly can. They're going to actually hold them, all these co-conspirators on these charges as well, to see if, if we can't get one, let's get a whole bunch of people to also sit with them. Let's make them all sit, because the second that any of them start talking in any way, shape, or form outside of it, it could actually be a bad deal for what they actually do have to say and what could come out of their mouths. If they can actually hold them and they can actually put them in jail, accidental unaliving of their own, it could actually happen. They could definitely Epstein themselves without even thinking about it. Another thing to mention here is how impactful a straightforward indictment appears to be. That means this case will almost certainly happen much faster than the DOJ case in Florida concerning classified documents and obstruction of justice. One attorney on Live Now from Fox, said he expects the latest indictment to go to trial first. Some are pointing out that the decision to indict Trump again came just a day after Devin Archer testified that Joe Biden not only knew, but his son's business dealings, but was on the phone during the last 20 meetings with the various foreign associates. Whether that's coincidence or not, the perception put forth is one of the brazen weaponization. So then you can see here's the lengthy document. Look at it, page 2 of 45, 45-page indictment. And obviously, I would assume, what's up, Bernie Mac? How are you doing? I would assume that there's somebody out there that's just talking about just this case and just this case alone, and they're actually probably going to try going through all 45 pages and read every little line and try breaking it down for you. I'm sure you could actually find those if you really seriously wanted all that done. That's very interesting, but trying to go through all 45 pages might be a lengthy period of time to actually even come close to making it through all of it. But you can see, like I said, very lengthy. So we're going to kind of scroll through this. As I believe there's something more that's underneath these particular insert. Oh, just the editor's note. Okay. They did stop. They did stop. There was something earlier. So they edit these things all the time. They finalize it. They finalize it like they always do. So there's count 4. We've read all 4 counts. We've read all 4 counts, and you got the gist of where they're actually going to go with this and why they're going to go this route of actually doing such a thing to this man, because they feel that he's a threat. He's a threat to what they've done. He's a threat to what they're going to continue to do. He's going to continue to be a threat until they can actually get rid of him to actually continue doing exactly what they want to do and not be seen doing it. If y'all haven't hit that like button yet, please hit that like button. So then, because of things happening, because yet another indictment come down, oil tycoon switches from backing Trump to other GOP candidates. So he isn't picking a particular candidate. He's picking multiple candidates, and he's backing the rest of them to actually get behind somebody that could potentially actually do something to, in his opinion, most likely to actually win. And he's not, he's just not going to be the that backer that Donald Trump needs. Says major GOP donor Harold Ham, once the big financial backer for former President Donald Trump, has told the longtime friend that he believes other Republicans have a better shot at beating President Joe Biden in 2024, and for now he's putting his money behind them. In an interview with Bloomberg, Mr. Ham, founder and chairman of the Continental Resources, said he broke the news to Mr. Trump over the phone call in May. So this isn't something that just happened last night. It's something that has actually happened for a while, but they're just getting this information out there to us, to say that he has not been backing him, so that they don't go after him and say, well, we need to go after yet another person, and we're going to choose you. We're going to choose you next to actually see if you have anything that can actually be included or added to more indictments going against Trump. Because if you can continue to throw more and more allegations and indict him over and over again, eventually somebody's going to look at him and just be like, dude, stop. Just stop. Once you stop, they'll stop. I had to be honest and forthright, and I've always been. I told him we've been friends for a long time. I wanted to continue to be friends. He was disappointed. Hopefully we can be friends in the future. So, I mean, obviously he feels that that he actually did him wrong. If Mr. Ham's not feeling all that excited that he actually had to stop donating to him to actually be in an okay position for people to leave him alone. If you keep on, donating to a particular person that, others feel shouldn't get donations at all, eventually you have to actually turn it down and be like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. They're coming after me for the things that you've done. Like they've continued to do. You see multiple people that were actually on this particular indictment that came up today. And you have no clue who they actually are, because it says co-conspirator A, co-conspirator B. Between 2016 and 2020, he donated $1.25 million to Mr. Trump. Mr. Ham has advised Mr. Trump on energy matters and was even considered for the post in his administration. After first meeting with the election result watch party for Mitt Romney years prior, he told Mr. Trump, who is far and away from front runner for far and away for a 2024 nomination, has most polls. He's far and away the front runner. He's. What did we see last night? 54-ish% compared to any other person that's behind him, sitting at the most was what 12. It's really seriously amazing to actually see how many have actually faded away from actually doing such a thing, and just be like, we need to stop donating to you for right now. We'll redonate once we actually get us past the situation. Trump has done nothing wrong. The by-dumbs are scumbags. Yes, Bernie Mac, I agree. But for whatever reason, they can't stop. Their TDS is too much. It's too much, and they're going to continue to actually do whatever they can. You need someone of good character, high quality, that can lead this nation. You also need somebody the independents can vote out here. Somebody that's not going to further divide America. So, is he thinking that Trump's actually going to divide America even further than what it already is? I mean, to me, it kind of seems just opposite. That there's more and more people that are actually waking up to the situation, and they're actually going to go ahead and maybe actually become more of a solid unit of people that are going to actually just go ahead and vote for Trump, and they don't give a shit about anybody else. They don't care. They don't care about about any of it at all. They just want it to be what it is, and install who they feel is the rightful person. They're not. I have a feeling there's an awful lot of people that are not paying attention to the rest of these constituents that are up there for this particular nomination. In his search for the candidate, Mr. Ham met with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who currently polls in the distant second to Mr. Trump, and said his smart as a whip. Sorry, but the last I looked, it didn't look like DeSantis was actually sitting there. It looked like Vivek Ramaswamy was actually the next one up in line for that particular position. Kind of interesting how Vivek actually did a leap jump over the top of Ron DeSantis in this particular situation. And said is smart as a whip. He gave maximum donations to Mr. DeSantis in 2024 campaign, as well as that to former South Carolina Governor Nimrata Haley. She has also he has also supported North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and former Vice President Mike Pence. There you go. I'm gonna go after and donate to your former vice instead of you, because I don't believe that he did anything wrong in any way, shape, or form. He actually did what he was intended to do, and not because he got a gold trinket to actually do it. He also encouraged Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin to run. You can go on and on about several of these candidates. You can't be involved with all of them, but certainly until the process narrows down, we can support some of them. Mr. Ham told the Financial Times that the events of J6 not only divided the country, but divided the Republican base. The oil tycoon has talked to the last 6 presidents and hopes to advise the next. I want somebody who understands how important it is to have energy independence in this nation. Well, we were energy independent there for a short bit, but only under the toodles. Only under Donald Trump himself, when it actually comes down to it. It's really ridiculous to actually think that he was actually anybody else that actually would bring us into an energy independence. I don't see it. I really don't. You like Vivek Ramaswamy? I mean, I'm okay with them for the moment, but I need to know a lot more. I need to know a lot more about him before we actually go ahead and just say, yeah, he's the next. He's the next. There's a lot of people that need to be looked at in this particular situation, and there's a lot of them that I don't really care for. I don't really care for DeSantis. I really don't care for Nimrata Haley. I really don't care for Asa Hutchinson for sure. We can actually look at the whole slew of 13 people that are there, or you go back a few days or whatever, you actually watch when I actually go through the whole list of 13 and give you my opinion on all of them. There's an awful lot of them, like Doug Burgum from North Dakota, that have no clue who he is, what he's about, or that guy from Michigan that just so happened to be a businessman that actually ran the last one and failed to actually even make it anywhere to actually go ahead and try running again. He actually had some issues when it came down to it. So, just no. Interview with Financial Times, Mr. Ham further explained that he advised Mr. Trump to drop the presidential bid and become a kingmaker. A role for him is very influential. When it comes down to it, he really could push for any one of those people that are sitting behind him in polls and just be like, I say do that. I say go for this guy. And everybody is going to be like, oh, let's listen to him. He said he's not going to do this, doesn't want to do it anymore. And let's go with who he actually picks. And he's done this over and over again, where he's picked multiple different people to do multiple different jobs, and he's backed them. He's backed them thoroughly and watched every single one of them, almost every single one of them, actually go ahead and pick up their positions that they're actually looking at. Has to be Trump. He's gonna. I hate that they added that little logo to the bottom of that screen. He's gonna dig in that ass. What? Okay. I don't know if that's something that that he's exactly going to do that, but he's going to do something. He needs to actually become the kingmaker that Mr. Ham kind of assumes him to be. DeSantis is a plant. Yep. I know he was happy. That's all I can do. Now, seriously, he takes that recommendation. I don't know. Mr. Ham really seriously wanted to have Trump just become the kingmaker that he knows that he can be, and actually just go ahead and take this to the next level and promote somebody else, promote somebody that's actually worthwhile to actually go somewhere. I really don't feel that Democrats should actually sit in the position that they're in too much longer. Some better checks and balances need to actually be coming into play. We've got an awful lot of rhinos out there. He clarified that he wouldn't refuse to back Mr. Trump if he became the party's nominee. He refused to back him if he became the party's nominee. He's like, no, don't want nothing to do with it. No way, shape or form. He's gonna step away. I will support anyone who's running against Joe Biden or California Governor Gavin Newsom or any other extreme left candidate they can drum up. So even this guy's actually pulling up Gavin Newsom as being somebody of a threat that we need to actually pay attention to when it comes to the Democratic side. They're actually going to pull some strings here in the next couple months, and we're going to see Gavin Newsom. We're going to see him quite a bit. He saw the fact that Mr. Trump would only have 4 years to undo the damage of the Biden administration. It's a big obstacle. You need somebody that can be there for 8 years. And I get that. You can find somebody to be there for 8 years, or you can actually give Trump the 4 and hope that he can actually go ahead and actually promote up the next guy for the next series of elections, coming through for 2028. If you could actually get that to happen, that could actually be a positive in itself. Optimism about shale. Shale is expected to reach peak production this decade. Mr. Ham is a shale pioneer, tapping into North Dakota's Bakken shale region, which others thought the idea was crazy. It made him a billionaire. The future is bright. I look at it as an industry that is exciting, a lot of adventure, and has a lot of potential of making great wealth. Mr. Ham, obviously, it has done something for himself to make him a very wealthy man. And if he's actually gone ahead and actually made himself a very wealthy man, is it something that we shouldn't just be okay with? Maybe. The youngest of 13 children, Mr. Ham was born into tenant farmers who didn't even own land where we lived. He picked cotton from age 5. He recently wrote a book, and his journey as part of it encouraged the next barefooted country boy to imagine that he could do something equally as good. His book, Game Changer, is primarily about Mr. Ham's efforts in Washington and has a subtitle, Our 50-Year Mission to Secure America's Energy Independence. This guy, he really kind of seriously knows who he should be backing. And I think that he's potentially making a mistake. I think he's potentially making a mistake when it comes down to it. I don't really care for this particular situation for what it is. And being the largest donor, maybe kind of sad to actually believe that that's actually the truth when it comes down to it. Mr. Ham has advised presidents and policymakers on energy and details the struggles of success in a memoir. Notably, the Biden administration hasn't called him Mr. Ham. When the Biden administration is panicking about gas line prices, did they call me? No, he wrote in the book. They called Maduro of Venezuela, flew to Saudi Arabia, sent a fax to Iran, forwarded a purchase order to Putin. They would rather talk to an Ayatollah of Iran than Harold Ham, American oil and gas producer. Of course they would, because they don't know who he is. And that fears the Joe Biden's administration when it comes down to it. It really is going to throw a bunch of fear into him when if they would actually be okay with American oil independence. They would totally want this guy on their side, but they don't want the independence. They want to actually depend on other countries, so that way it's easier to control us, easier to take all of our money. Yeah, right. Newsom's going to run his evil. Look at California. Mm-hmm. California's shit. And there's a couple people that I so lovingly care for that actually live in California. And when it comes down to it, it scares me. It scares me to believe that Newsom could even be somebody that they'd even look at in any way, shape, or form. They sold us out. Yeah, they totally sold us out, brother. Yep. Hunter Biden may be in more trouble after what he's told judge about his bar status. Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal blew up epically. That now leaves everyone on the table in terms of charges, as well as looking at Joe Biden's connections to the scandal. We saw that on Monday. The House Oversight Committee interviewed Hunter Biden's partner, Devin Archer. Archer confirmed Joe Biden was talking to the speaker on the speakerphone into the meetings and was the big guy. He also revealed information about the Chinese connection to the bizarre comment Hunter made to the Biden name a handsome, Aryan, godlike man. He will likely find out more about what he had said, particularly when the transcript is released. But now, here's new information that Hunter may have gotten himself in trouble again with what he told the judge during the plea hearing. During the hearing, Judge Mary Ellen Noriega asked Hunter about being a member of the bar. You a member of the bar? Yes, Your Honor. Any particular? District of Columbia and Connecticut, Your Honor. Okay. Sure, you're a member of the bar, so then there's the District of Columbia and Connecticut. But Hunter Biden has admitted the bar in Connecticut in 1997. However, records show he's been suspended in Connecticut for more than 2 years. Non-practicing, and you're going to lie to the judge that you were barred? She's not going to like that you actually went ahead and you just lied to her straight to her face that you were barred when you're actually not. A judicial branch spokesperson confirmed he is not a good standing and had an administrative suspension. This is uncovered by Kevin Rennie, a Connecticut lawyer, former state legislator, who reported on it in his blog. Rennie and Hunter should have known better, and he termed it misleading the judge. A lawyer who is asked under oath where he is admitted to practice and does not include the responses that he is suspended from the practice, and one of them has misled the court. He did not give her an answer that I think most judges would see under these circumstances was in good faith. It omitted crucial facts. Biden didn't keep up the fees and requirements. He's been suspended since March of 2021. He's been suspended since March of 2021. He just went in front of the judge and straight out lied to her about what he was. Way to go, jackass. Speaking of barred, guess who's still barred in that Rumble, though? This guy. Dang it, Darth. No, you're not. I gotta write that down. I gotta write it down. I'll write it down so that I don't forget. Darth on Rumble. I'll look at it. I'm going to put this. You see? I wrote it right there. Darth on Rumble. I'm going to actually put this right here in front of my face so that way I actually get it done. Sorry, bro. Connecticut Judicial Branch spokesperson Melissa Farley said the first son is currently not in good standing due to the attorney Biden's failure to register or comply with the statewide grievance committee's minimum continued legal education requirement since 2018 and to pay the client security fund fee for 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. The client security fees goes into the fund to help clients who have experienced attorney fraud. Rini said he didn't understand why Hunter didn't pay the fees and why the attorneys didn't just make sure that it was done before the plea hearing. It's only $75, Rini told DailyMail.com. The judicial branch, they're very good about reminding people that they need to pay by June 15th, so I was surprised. Thank you so much, Great Liquor, for gifting 5 Koolfrogg memberships. Welcome to the Frog Army. Looks like Pasture Raptor, Speak Life Garden Homestead and Permaculture, Audra Smithy, Cougar Knife, and Wolfkinder. Thank you so much for those 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate it so much. I was also surprised that given that we all assume he's paying the legal fees, someone at the law firm representing him would have just checked the box to make sure everything was as it should be, such as you paid the $75, didn't you? Oh, oops. That millionaire can't pay $75? That's amazing that he can't afford a damn thing. They should have anticipated that the basic biographical question you're going to be asked by the judge, especially when the intention was to enter a guilty plea. It's careless, not paying attention. I suppose that's not a surprise given his history, which he's certainly emphasizing in his proceeding. Given that Hunter and his legal team are already in trouble with the judge over the controversy about the person from their office calling up the clerk and allegedly trying to get amicus material filed by the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith removed from the docket Hunter's legal team. They claimed it was all a misunderstanding. When the judge finds this out, this is also not likely to go over well if she thinks Biden wasn't being forthcoming with her. She can totally go ahead and she could do whatever she wanted to do, and she could totally destroy him for whatever it is. It's kind of amazing to actually think that he actually made that mistake of saying, yeah, I'm barred. I'm barred in DC and Connecticut. When you're not barred and you actually say that you are, that'd be like me trying to say that I'm a lawyer. No, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer anywhere. And even though there's some out there that have the tendency to believe that I am, it's not true. It's not true. I am not barred. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any of that. I'm not any of that. I'm not any of that. Right after, there's a lot of people that actually know my story right after Koof. Right after Koof happened, whatever, I lost my job at the Mall of America selling shoes. Before that, I was the manager for Radio Shack for several years before it actually went ahead and got shuttered. Yeah, it says you're an Australian lawyer, doctor, YouTuber. Mm-hmm. I know. There's a lot of people that like to actually believe such a thing. Thank that one guy for actually going ahead and actually stating such a thing that isn't true. Yeah, thank you, Monograph. So glad that you actually just assume that. Do I sound like I'm from Australia? Nope. Vivek Ramaswamy settles lawsuit against the World Economic Forum after organization falsely claimed ties to the 2024 GOP candidate. Whatever you say, Dr. Koolfrogg Esquire. Yes. Dr. Was Koolfrogg Esquire, PhD Esquire? As few letters as possible would be great, but still in increments of 3 are preferred. Increments of, I like 3 letters. 3 letters in any type of shape or form are just so awesome. Republican 2024 presidential candidate and businessman Vivek Ramaswamy has settled a lawsuit at World Economic Forum after organization inaccurately associated him with their Young Global Leaders program. Mr. Ramaswamy has been critical of the WEF and has alleged the organization put his name on its list of WEF Young Global Leaders despite him having no actual association with the group. I fundamentally disagree with the WEF agenda, Mr. Ramaswamy said in a post on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. They're going to continue to push this crap. It's like Prince changes the name to that symbol, and then you're supposed to just call him that symbol, the symbol guy or something. They're like, yeah, formerly known as Prince, formerly known as Twitter. They can't Twix. Is it like the things? I've been one of the biggest crusaders in the country against it. They named me a young global leader, and I explicitly said no. Now it's time to hold them accountable for it. Mr. Ramaswamy subsequently asked his followers on a platform that he should sue the WEF, and by April 19, went ahead with the lawsuit. Among the allegations of legal complaint was the WEF listed him as one of the members of the apparent effort to undermine the criticisms of the organization. The World Economic Forum decision included Mr. Ramaswamy in Young Global Leaders list played out around the same time Mr. Ramaswamy was publishing his own book, Woke Incorporated Inside Corporate America's Social Justice Scam. Mr. Ramaswamy, I mean, this right here, this book, just the book title alone goes totally against anything the World Economic Forum is about. Mr. Ramaswamy made critical comments about the WEF founder and CEO Klaus Schwab ahead of the book's release, including calling Mr. Schwab the patron saint of wokeism. On Tuesday, Mr. Ramaswamy confirmed in an emailed statement that he had succeeded in the lawsuit through this settlement process. I've been leading opponent in America of the World Economic Forum's agenda through 2 books. My most recent company, Strive, which finally put BlackRock and ESG movement in their back foot. 2 years ago, the World Economic Forum tried to throw false bait by naming me the Young Global Leader when I explicitly rejected their ridiculous award. They repeatedly failed to remove my name despite escalating demands, so I sued them, and we just succeeded. They met all of my demands in the lawsuit: a public apology, disavowal, and a commitment to never name someone again without their explicit permission. Mr. Ramaswamy included the company in the World Economic Forum's apology letter in the statement announcing the settlement. We write to apologize for this mistake. The forum nominated you in 2021 at YGL and accordingly listed you as several documents in the website. Shortly thereafter, the forum learned that you did not wish to participate in the YGL program. The forum then took steps to remove references of your name from the YGL lists, but inadvertently failed to remove your name from all the publications on its website. The forum acknowledges that a continued inclusion of the YGL document may have incorrectly implied an association with the forum, and for that reason, the forum apologized for the unintentional error. In early 2022, the forum changed its internal processing so that no future young global leaders would be included in its lists without their consent. It should have always been that way. You don't have the consent to do whatever you want just because you feel it's necessary. Just because you think, oh, hey, this guy might be pretty good to actually be part of our young global leaders group. Let's make him that. Let's make him that. And when he's actually against your dumbassery, you should actually be sued. You should be sued for whatever it is that he actually seeks. Take the millions and millions of dollars away from him, funnel the money into your own likeness, and actually go ahead and you have the right to actually donate to your own cause. So go ahead and donate so much money to your own cause after they give it to you, and be like, hey, know what you just did? You just promoted me to continue to do what it is I feel is necessary to actually run this country in the right potential direction. There's a lot of people that kind of falling in love with Ramaswamy for what it is. They actually like this guy. They think that he's actually potentially somebody that could be with a good person to put up on that podium, and it might actually do something good for us. I'm still not so sure myself if I actually feel that way, but he close second potentially. NTD News reached out to World Economic Forum for further comment, but did not receive response by the time this article was published. Mr. Ramaswamy has received a settlement payment from the lawsuit that will donate to the American First Policy Institute because it stands for American interest against the World Economic Forum agenda. AFP has a right-leaning public policy think tank. Mr. Ramaswamy did not specify how much money he would receive through the settlement agreement. The New York Post initially reported he had only sought a nominal $2,500 payment. What? Come on. It adds a couple more zeros to that. New York Post, I would almost assume, is probably wrong in most everything that they do. So, Ramaswamy going ahead and actually going after World Economic Forum for everything that they've actually done to him to actually put him on a list to make it look like he's actually part of their trash, garbage, one world order ignorance. It's really something to actually, think about and actually take up on. It's kind of something sad to believe. That they would just actually be able to select whoever they want. Go ahead, add your name. Go ahead, put my name in there. I dare you. I'm not taking $2,500. I'd take a hell of a lot more. I'd make sure that you became nothing. Wow, 7 people watching, 24 likes. That's awesome. Thank you so much for all the likes. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button for me. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I know that there's quite a few other people that are actually still working, doing things with their channels and whatnot for this earlier hour. I get it. So hopefully some of these people actually start dropping in here soon. What's up, Divinitus Said? Good to see you, dear. Good to see you. Glad you're here. AOC's campaign continues paying Chinese foreign agent. FEC filing. Oops. How many Democrats are sitting there tied to the likeness of China? How many? How many are there? Well, the U.S. military increasingly views China as its biggest and growing adversary. One member of the Congress is continuing to push campaign funds to a Chinese foreign agent, according to filings. Just one? How many? How many do you think that are actually tied to the likenesses of Chinese foreign agents? I bet Mr. Swalwell could come up with a good number for us, right? According to her campaign records, the New York Democrat paid $442 to Singtel newspaper in May 25th, while a small expense Ocasio-Cortez's committee appears to be the only one to place advertisements in the paper during the second quarter. Her campaign previously sent $5,000 to the company for the same purpose. Why? What is it with Singtel newspaper that you need to actually dump that much of a advertisement campaign into? You're not trying to tell me that there's Americans that like to read the Singtel newspaper out of China? Rightfully able to actually vote in these elections. I wonder why. Tsingtao U.S. operators and subsidiaries of Hong Kong-based Tsingtao News Corporation Ltd. In August 2020, amid increasing tensions between Washington and Beijing, the Justice Department mandated the Chinese-owned entity to register as a Chinese foreign agent. Following DOJ's determination that Tsingtao U.S. engaged in foreign political activity, Ocasio-Cortez's campaign spent almost $1,500 in advertisements and the company before her most recent payment. Tsingtao's United States operations included Chinese language publications in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Nowhere else, right? And also has a radio station in Burlingame, California. Fox News reported the paper is considered pro-Beijing and receives over half of its content from the Chinese company Star Production, Shenzhen Limited, Axios previously reported. Tsingtao U.S. has claimed that it operates free from the Chinese Communist Party's influence. Yeah, okay. Thanks for actually pointing that out. That could potentially not be true, but okay. Being that you pointed out that I must believe you. The government in Beijing has one of the world's most restrictive media environments, relying on the censorship of control information in news online with social media, the Council on Foreign Relations has noted per Faux News. Ocasio-Cortez and other members of Congress paid thousands of dollars to campaign cash to Tsingtao, according to the previous reports. Reps Kevin Mullen, Democrat of California, Grace Meng, Democrat out of New York, Nicole Miliotakis, Rhino out of New York, joined Ocasio-Cortez in pushing campaign cash to Tsingtao U.S., a subsidiary of Hong Kong-based Tsingtao News Corporation, for advertising expenses during the midterm election cycle. These campaigns, in other words, had sent their money to a Chinese-owned entity that the Department of Justice forced to register as a Chinese foreign agent in August 2021, as tensions rose between Washington and Beijing. At times, the Xi government has limited to cut off media access to its people, monitored and shuttered publications, and arrested and jailed descendants as part of an effort to control information. Meanwhile, a top Air Force general issued a shocking gut-feeling warning to those in the China to command last week, warning them to get ready for a major conflict with China in 2 years. General Mike Minihan, head of Air Mobility Command, said in a memo obtained by NBC News, "I hope I am wrong. My gut tells me we'll fight in 2025." 2025. 2025 is less than 2 years away. If we actually think about it, it's going to come real quick, and it's going to get very, very interesting to see how far we decide to go with the Chinese. It's proceeding pretty quick here. It's going to happen. It's right around the corner. My gut tells me they aren't going to wait that long. I'll wait. Yeah, right. My gut doesn't say that we're going to last anything longer than through election season of 2024. In my opinion. I could be wrong, but let's find out. Because we ain't going to do shit. Maybe not. Yes, more Californians in the house. It's awesome. Bill from Iowa congressman would fund border wall with seizes drug assets. U.S. Rep. Randy Fenstra, Republican out of Iowa, proposes using seized drug assets to fund the wall at the southern U.S. border. You know, okay. I mean, the wall sort of worked. There's some people that have actually figured out how to actually still enter the United States because it was never completed. For it to actually be completed might be something fun to actually see, but I don't see it actually stopping any and all from trying to actually make their way into the United States illegally. They're going to still kind of push for that to actually happen. A bill entitled "To Build the Wall for Fight Fentanyl Act." It could also create a second fund the congressman said would be used to combat the fentanyl epidemic. Criminal drug traffickers have smuggled through fentanyl into our country to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States. And tragically, too many families know the pain of losing a loved one to this deadly crisis. While President Biden has failed to uphold his oath in office and secure our border, I remain committed to delivering real solutions to the border crisis by beating the drug traffickers at their own game and using their illegal financial gains to finish the border wall and support our families. Uh, uh, Wants to become the biggest drug dealer in the world and actually go ahead and actually fund a wall with the monies that would come from actually destroying and capturing people that have actually brought fentanyl over the border. It, uh, if that's what's going to happen to actually stop them from coming, and maybe they'll stop trying to actually bring the stuff through because they're like, well, wait a minute, they're building the wall off the funds that they're actually earning from it. Cities near the southern U.S. border may say the migrants are creating crises in the cities of El Paso, Texas, declared it a third state of emergency earlier this month as more than 200 migrants were released there in June. Lawmakers blame the border crisis on an uptick of fentanyl distribution. The fentanyl epidemic is killing Americans every day and is directly linked to the open border. Greg Steube, Republican out of Florida, since the Biden administration has failed to properly address at properly addressing these two crises, Congress must use innovative solutions to help secure our country. Apparently, I just don't know what the hell I'm reading right now. House Republicans point the finger at Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. A report last week accused Mayorkas of dereliction of duty and claimed Biden's immigration policies are ineffective. The DHS said in its response, the department will continue to enforce our laws and secure our borders, protect the United States from terrorism, improve the cybersecurity, all while building a safe, orderly, and humane immigration system. Instead of pointing fingers and pursuing a baseless impeachment, Congress should work on the department and pass comprehensive legislation to fix our broken immigration system, which has not been updated in decades. Oh, okay. So, what was the thing that Donald Trump did? Oh yeah, stay in Mexico. The stay in Mexico order that was actually put into place that was immediately tore down the second that Joe Biden took office. But yes, it's been decades since this broken immigration system was even attempted to be fixed, which was just negate anything that actually came through from Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. Because everything that he did was totally racist and xenophobic. It's probably fake California too. It's probably from Australia, aka South Akron, Ohio. So funny. So funny. Rep. Gates introduces bill to abolish the USAID. Florida GOP Rep Matt Gaetz introduces legislation Tuesday to abolish the United States Agency of International Development, USAID, you said, does not serve a meaningful purpose, he said. It is used as a slush fund for international wokeism. Therefore, serious lawmakers in Congress should support its complete abolition. The USAID does humanitarian work in poverty reduction internationally. The department has been pushing issues such as gender equality programs, climate change, and abortion, according to the Daily Caller. Co-sponsors the bill, including GOP Rep Andy Biggs, Arizona Mayor Charlie Green out of Georgia, and Anna Paulina Luna out of Florida. American taxpayer dollars are being wasted to fund radical leftist propaganda in foreign countries. The American people will not tolerate government-funded degeneracy at home, and we certainly will not accept its force-feeding abroad under Old Glory. The bill would take away funds that are not obligated to be made available for the agency, and the Secretary of State would be given the assets or liabilities. Interesting. Interesting, isn't that? To actually think that Gates would actually want to go ahead and actually rip down the USAID program because it doesn't do anything that it's intended to actually do. It says that it does humanitarian work and poverty reduction internationally, but if he feels that it's not actually doing just that, and it's actually pushing these other things like gender equality and climate change, as well as abortion, maybe it is something that needs to actually go away. But he's going to have some major contenders on that, and but this bill, when you got Anna Paulina Luna, you got Margie Taylor Greene with the biggest cojones ever, and then you got Andy Biggs all stepping up to the plate and saying, no, we don't like what they've been doing either. Let's take down USAID for what it is. Might be the best deal for us, and actually might be something that we might actually agree with. I want to talk property owner voters' rights. You want to just take away voting rights from a whole bunch of us? What kind of property can we own to actually go ahead and vote? I want to know what that actually consists of. Is it land? Is it territory? Is it a house? Or what is it that we need to actually own to actually be considered such a thing? Hi, Leah. Who are you talking to? Who's Leah? The banks own the property, right? We just kind of rent it from them. Democrat Ted Lieu blames hot weather on climate deniers. That's where the hot weather comes from. Don't deny it. You're the one that's actually blowing the hot air, and that's the reason that the temperature's gone up so high. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Ted Lieu, for being such a jackass and spreading your ignorance. Ted Lieu, Democrat of California, has issued a statement blaming the recent hot weather on so-called climate deniers. Lieu took to Twitter to share false claims from CNN regarding the heat waves and alleged climate crises. He then urged his followers to blame a climate denier for higher temperatures during the peak summer months. That's who you go and blame. You don't blame anything else. It's not just, temperature changing itself. Nope. Not at all. You said Democrat in California, the same sentence? Yes. Isn't that something? There seems to be so many representatives from the state of California just so happen to be Democrat. Lieu took took to Twitter to share false claims from CNN regarding the heat waves and alleged climate crises. He then urged the followers to blame a climate denier for higher temperatures during the peak summer months. Denier has become a new favorite term from the left that is used to smear those who don't agree with the Democrats' narrative. Similarly, those who question results of any other type are smeared as deniers themselves. But only when Democrats win. Suffering from excessive heat, Lou tweeted, blame a climate denier. Climate deniers were wrong. The scientists were right. Yes, it's always the scientists that are right, just as long as they're within that 98 percentile to actually say, yeah, I'm going to agree with them. You have the power to vote out elected officials who refuse to deal with facts and vote in officials who understand we are in a climate crisis. Are we, though? Are we, though? I'd rather actually talk to a scientist and see what they actually do believe, as opposed to actually going ahead and just calling us all deniers. However, despite the CNN claims, scientists say historical temperature data does show anything unusual for this year, despite the recent heat waves. In fact, since temperature records began in 1927, there's several years with higher temperatures than in 2023. Really? Isn't that something? Isn't that something? But it's totally, it's totally the climate. And we don't be a denier. Don't be a denier of things. Darth Hideous is a denier of Australia, denier of birds, denier of those jabs. Darth, your social credit score is trash. About as much trash as mine is. Dr. Fauci, please talk to the frog. Yeah, right. Like I would want to, I'd bring him in. I'd let him come talk to me for a few minutes. I might actually say a few things that he might not enjoy. But, I'd give him the chance. I'd give him the chance to speak his mind. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I bet I'd get an awful lot of people come watch my show. His social debt rating. Yep. Same. Same. GOP senator admitted to hospital after sudden onset numbness. Key Republican senator was hospitalized over the weekend after suffering facial numbness and faces weeks of recovery. Republican Senator Katie Britt of Alabama announced that she was stricken over the weekend, according to WBMA. She was stricken. While with my family in Montgomery this past weekend, I experienced a sudden onset of numbness in my face. I was admitted to Baptist Medical Center South for evaluation. Doctors determined that my symptoms were a result of swelling of a facial nerve, most likely caused by a post-viral infection. What was she doing? A specialist from UAB was subsequently evaluated me on an outpatient basis and concurred that the prognosis and course of treatment, my condition is not life-threatening and the recovery could take several weeks. I'm grateful for the medical professionals providing excellent care, and my family and I are deeply grateful for your prayers. Britt was the first woman from Alabama to be elected to the Senate in November, replacing GOP Senator Richard Shelby, whose chief of staff she had previously been. Britt, 41, is also the youngest Republican woman ever elected to the U.S. Senate. The Senate is currently in recess until Labor Day. So because it's all in Congress is actually on vacation through the month of August, It's not really going to go ahead and impact anything. It's not going to prevent her from actually doing any particular job whatsoever. She'll be fine by the time Congress reconvenes in September. She'll be fine. She'll be fine. Britt has said she wants to inspire others to succeed, to think that there's little girls and young women across our state who can look at what we have achieved together in this campaign, to be inspired, to be instilled in confidence and hope that they can shoot for the stars to achieve their dreams is powerful, and take big, huge strikes to the face. And actually come down with something that you have no clue what it is. It's just going to go along with the doctor and say, "Oh, you'll be fine." You burst a nerve or something. The promotional page for the book states that Britt shares some candid advice with how to overcome personal challenges, appreciate blessed moments, make our lives more fulfilling, and keep an unshakable faith in God, family, and our country. Britt will include recollections from working along days in her parents' hardware store to finding her path to the University of Alabama and marrying the captain of the football team, to an extremely close call with a tornado that destroyed her house while she was held her baby in her arms, to her upstart campaign for Senate. At the moment when politics feel toxic and broken, to listen to your heart, serve, and inspire, the announcement says. So, she's okay. She's okay. She's not gonna get hurt or in any more or whatever. She'll actually live through this. And then it goes ahead and it repeats itself yet one more time. If you didn't quite catch what was actually going on, some kind of facial nerve swelling that actually went ahead and actually made her bedridden in the hospital for the next few days, which might be okay for her. She looks like she's could use the rest, and could maybe take that to her advantage, and maybe stop doing certain things with her face. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm just just speculating what potentially came of this particular situation. Yes, terrifying. Bernie Sanders wants to prosecute climate change dissenters. This one should have probably been before the last. Stop it. Stop going after people for something that you don't need to go after them about. How stupid can you be? And everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yes, we should definitely prosecute. We should totally prosecute anybody that actually wants to deny that there's such a thing." Because why? Oh, it's because usually those that are actually using their brain and actually thinking about it and actually against whatever this bullshit is, just so happens to be what they like to claim is the far right. So you had one guy, and now this guy is also actually looking at you, Mr. Lou, and now Bernie Sanders are calling us deniers, and then now telling us that they want to prosecute us for actually denying such a thing. What? Are you kidding me? Oh, it never happened. It never happened. We're going to go along with whatever it is that they want, so that way they leave us alone and don't come after us and try charging us, accordingly. Bluff called. Kamala Harris responds to Ron DeSantis' offer to meet. Cackling Kamala Harris. The national obsession with middle school curriculum in Florida is going on for weeks. And that's not because it's especially interesting or controversy. As usual, playing politics is real motivation. Things began when Kamala Harris, likely pushed by one of her staffers, decided to claim that Florida was teaching that Black Americans benefited from slavery, eventually because everyone seems to want a piece of Ron DeSantis these days. Republican candidates include Tim Scott, Donald Trump, and Mike Pence jumped on the bandwagon. Oh, All the while, those who actually wrote the curriculum, such as Dr. William B. Allen, repeatedly pointed out that the standards didn't include any mention of slavery being beneficial. Do you hear that? Don't include that in any way, shape, or form. But why do they want to continue to push this ridiculous narrative? To actually go ahead and make it look like the right is the ones that are against those that are of any other color than those white compatriots that we all love so much. It's so fucking stupid and ridiculous to actually believe that slavery was only black people. It wasn't. There was a lot more that went along with that. Rather, the mention of skills and only benefits derived from them was meant to convey that former slaves used these, like being able to read and write, to help their families, and in the case of someone like Frederick Douglass, helped the nation, to bolster the contention in almost identical passives original AP curriculum, which was rejected at the shrieks of the White House, was unearthed. Any intellectually honest person knew from the beginning the entire controversy of the manufacture, because it never be taboo, and the past to share stories of former slaves benefiting themselves and others of becoming inventors, entrepreneurs, and famous writers. In fact, it would be wrong to bury those stories, but then DeSantis is involved. All of the matters is sheer hysteria in pursuit of political gain. The situation came to a head on Monday when DeSantis decided enough is enough. He sent an official invitation to Kamala Harris to meet with him and Dr. Allen to discuss exactly what was included in the curriculum. If she were truly concerned, surely she would take DeSantis up on the offer, right? This is unless she was bluffing the whole time. Yeah, she was bluffing the whole time. Well, I'm here in Florida, and I'll tell you that no roundtable, no lecture, no invitation. We will accept the debate, an undeniable fact. Yes, clap for me, bitches, clap. There were no redeeming qualities of slavery. And as I said last week when I was again here in Florida, we will not stop calling out the fighting back against extremist so-called leaders who try to prevent our children from learning from a full true history. Clap for me. Come on, bitches. Clap. It's just incredible to see our cowardice and display being covered in such a comical facade and self-righteousness. She claims to know what's in the standards so much that she's gone to Florida twice in less than a month to rail against him. Yet she refuses to sit down with the renowned intellectual like Dr. Allen to discuss her supposed concerns. It's all theater. It's all theater. It's been theater. It's the whole freaking administration's theater. And everyone knows it. Instead of showing the possesses any semblance of backbone, Harris chose once again repeat the lie that Florida's curriculum states there are redeeming qualities of slavery. No, that's not what it says. Think about the implications that, according to the false framing Harris and others are promoting, children can never be taught that any former slave ever did anything that benefited themselves or others, lest slavery itself became beneficial. What a horribly cynical viewpoint. Stories of perseverance and triumph over evil are incredibly important part of human history, but if Harris had her way, they'd be erased completely. Let's use one person that we learned about that actually was a slave that actually invented something. You remember Eli Whitney? Remember what he did? Oh yes, he was the inventor of the cotton gin. He was the one that actually figured out how to actually pick the cotton with a machine, as opposed to getting down on your hands and knees, and actually doubled production immediately. But whatever. Let's listen to what cackling Kamala Harris has to actually say about it, and completely and totally, go off on a whim. What? Governance has always been theater. since the beginning of time. No, the wigs were for something else, not theater whatsoever. What? What you talking about, Div? You're being unclear. New Jersey Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver dead at 71. So she needs to be replaced immediately for whatever job that she was actually doing as lieutenant governor. The first black woman to serve as Speaker of the State Assembly died Tuesday after being hospitalized for undisclosed illness. Yeah, undisclosed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oliver, 71, is serving as acting governor this week while Governor Phil Murphy was vacationing in Italy. She was admitted to Cooperman Barnabas Medical Center in Livingston on Monday, where Murphy's office added that the governor will now be returning home early. He has to, because she's not there to actually take care of the state. The state is currently without somebody actually running it. In particular, that could be kind of disturbing in itself to actually think if there's nobody there to actually run it, what could actually happen? Oh, wait, absolutely nothing's going to happen. Senate President Nicholas Scutari acted in her place to fill in governor as per the state constitution. I knew then that her decades of public service made her an ideal partner for me to lead the state of New Jersey, Murphy said in a statement. It was the best decision I ever made. She brought a unique, invaluable perspective of public safety discourse and served as an inspiration to millions of women and girls everywhere. Beyond all that, she was an incredibly genuine and kind person whose friendship and partnership was irreplaceable. But it refuses to say exactly what happened, just that after being hospitalized that she had passed from an undisclosed illness. Anybody want to guess? Anybody want to guess? Please pardon divinity, she's from California. It's okay. It's okay. Has anything ever good come from New Jersey? Nah. Not that I know of. Zero things. Sean D, what do you mean you'd smash? Dude, she's dead. Why would you do that to somebody? What's up, Sean D? Good to see you, brother. Don't judge. I already did. So you can kind of see where I went. I went from presidents to Republic, or to representatives, to senators, to governors. Kind of tried breaking it down a little bit in different shapes and forms. Don't be a bigot, Frog. I'm not. I just don't think that anybody should be doing anything to deceased people. I'm kind of against that particular notion. Oh, what's up? P. Beaver, good to see you. Irish were the main source of slavery in Europe for generations and even long into the slavery in America. That's why Irish brigades fought in the Civil War. No shit. No shit. Uh-huh. Missouri governor rejects mercy plea from man set to be executed for killing a 6-year-old girl. This could have actually probably been pushed to the other end, but because it actually involves Governor Mike Parson, is why I put it under the governor's list. Mike Parson said on Monday that the state will proceed with this week planned execution of a man who abducted and killed a 6-year-old girl nearly 2 decades ago. Though the man's attorney is still pressing claims he is mentally incompetent. You're already charged before you were become mentally incompetent from being incarcerated. Uh, why would you be left to live if you how are you mentally incompetent enough to be executed? I'm so confused. Johnny Johnson, 45, was scheduled to receive lethal injection Tuesday evening in the July 26th fatal beating of Casey Williamson in her St. Louis County hometown in Valley Park. Mr. Johnson's attorney have asked the U.S. Supreme Court to halt the execution. They also asked for Mr. Parsons to grant clemency, reducing Mr. Johnson's sentence to life in prison, while asserting that Mr. Johnson's mental illness has left him incapable of understanding the connection between his actions and his execution. Mr. Parsons denied the clemency request. He noted the variety of courts, including the original trial judge in the Eighth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals just days ago, have thus far rejected Mr. Johnson's incompetency claims. Johnny Johnson's crime is one of the most horrific murders that has come across my desk. Casey was an innocent young girl who bravely fought Johnson until he took her life. Countless letters in the last few weeks seeking justice for Casey in the hopes of carrying out the execution may provide some closure for Casey's loved ones. In a clemency petition, Mr. Johnson's attorney said that Casey's father, Ernie Williamson, opposes the death penalty. It doesn't matter what his father wants. It doesn't matter one damn bit what the father wants. It's not up to that. It's up to the judge to actually decide what to actually impose on them, because it's the law. It's the law. And for the governor to try stepping in on this, to actually say, no, you can't go ahead with this, in reason that it is put under the governor's list as opposed to actually being towards the end with the rest of the disturbances that have happened in this world. Casey's great aunt Della Steele sent a message to Mr. Parsons emphasizing that Mr. Johnson could have turned back at any point, but instead chose to abduct, assault, and kill Casey, and then literally covered up his crime. The grief from Casey's death led to destructive events in the lives of the family members, she wrote in a message, which was shared by the Associated Press. Please stand strong beside Casey. Miss Steele wrote, remove the threat from our presence. Send the message that it's not okay to terrorize and murder a child. Casey's mother has been best friends with the childhood with Mr. Johnson's older sister and had even helped to babysit him. When Mr. Johnson showed up at the barbecue, Casey's family let him sleep on the couch in the same house where we were spending the night. In the morning, however, Mr. Johnson lured the little girl out of the home in an abandoned glass factory, even carrying her on his shoulders on the walk. When he tried to assault her, Casey screamed and tried to break free. He killed her with a brick and a large rock, then washed off the nearby Merrimack River. Mr. Johnson confessed to the crimes the same day. That's not so incompetent in my mind. It sounds like you're totally competent of that particular situation, and you should be charged, thoroughly. It's really seriously kind of disgusting to actually even go through this right now, and to have the governor try actually stepping up and being like, he's not really mentally capable of doing anything anymore. We should just let him go. No, don't let him go. What says that he won't do it again? After a search involving first responders and volunteers, Casey's body was found in a pit not too far from the home, buried beneath rocks and debris. Mr. Johnson's child defense lawyers presented testimony showing that he had stopped taking the schizophrenia medication, was acting strangely in the days before the slaying. Mr. Johnson would be the fourth person executed this year in Missouri, the 16th nationally. And I think we need to actually look at this Missouri Governor Mike Parson that's actually trying to go ahead and actually allow this to actually go away, because he feels that the mental incompetency of this man, of Mr. Johnson, is okay. And it's so gross. Skip some paragraphs. This is horrible. No, exactly, Div. I'm not a quitter. This guy is just, it's disgusting. And for the governor to actually go ahead and step up and be like, yeah, we should actually go ahead and leave him alone. We should let him out. We should allow him to actually live the rest of his life, as disgusting as he wants to be, because he doesn't have the mental capacity to do anything else, because he's schizophrenic. Well, he wasn't taking the medicine in the first place. That's what made him actually do it. Gross. Missouri Democratic Party openly calls to burn down homes of Trump supporters. Oh, really? The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the insert your word burn. This is Democrat Party. The Missouri Democrat Party openly called to burn down the homes of Trump supporters. John Cooper, a Biden-Obama lackey, and Monday tweeted a photo of a home decorated with pro-Trump signs. What would you do if this was next door neighbor? If you actually go hit up that link and you actually go find this, you'll actually see that I had a comment that said, I'll go drink a Coors Light with them and become his best friend. Why? Because this guy seems pretty cool. Look at that. The Missouri Democratic Party responded to calling the home to be burnt down. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the motherfucker burn. The official account of the Missouri Democrat Party said in since deleted tweet in response to John Cooper. He deleted the tweet. Because he got too many people that were actually going against his dumbassery of actually calling it out for what it wasn't. Donald Trump Jr. weighed in on the Missouri Democrat Party's terroristic threat. No big deal. Just the official account of the Missouri Democrat Party openly calling to burn down the homes of Trump supporters. What the fucking hell? Come on, John Cooper. Do better. Because you know what, dude? I'm going to start pulling up every single tweet that happens every single day, and I'm going to actually hold them. I'm going to hold every single one of them, and I'm going to actually start showing them. I'm going to start showing them to actually, put you out there like you want to be so badly every single day. This guy has so much TDS that he seriously can't tweet more than 2 words without inserting something about Donald Trump. Yeah, you look at it, you'd be like, oh, see, there's tweet. Oh, there's tweet. But then the third tweet, there you go. Oh, there's Donald Trump. He seriously can't keep him out of his fucking head. Donald Trump Jr. is your favorite cokehead? What are you talking about? Drink PBR. I mean, Pabst Blue Ribbons. I mean, I guess it's all right, but I use Coors Light because why not? What's a tweet? Oh yes, an X. I'm sorry. What's up, Jack? Go away. Get off my screen, man. Major pro-life group slams DeSantis for failure to back federal abortion ban. Why? Why do we need to go after this guy all the time? Because he doesn't want a federal abortion ban. He is super pro-life when it comes down to it, and I think that we don't understand. I think we all kind of don't understand exactly. Did you just kick Pozo out? Yes, exactly. If the real Jack Posobiec was actually around, and I could get him on my show, oh my lord, I'd totally go for that. But I don't want to hear him talking and blocking up my screen for allowing me to not allowing me to actually continue to my article. Following comments in recent interview with Megyn Kelly and a prospect of federal abortion ban, the national leading pro-life group in Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' failure to support federal pro-life policies is unacceptable. During an interview, DeSantis, who has signed a bill banning abortions after 6 weeks earlier this year, said, "I've been pro-life governor, I'll be pro-life president, and I'll come down on the side of life." He said that he would be a leader with a bully pulpit and help local communities and states advance the cause of life. Have much confidence that Congress would do anything meaningful in the issue. I really believe now in our society, it's really a bottom up movement. And that's where we've had most success: Iowa, South Carolina, and Florida. And I think you're going to continue to see a lot of good battles here. Susan B. Anthony, pro-life America President Marjorie Dunnenfelser, called out the governor on Monday, saying that calling for pro-life laws despite obstacles in Congress is more presidential leadership matters most, according to Politico. Governor DeSantis' dismissal of the task is unacceptable to pro-life voters. A conscience is already formed. Intensity for its palpable and measurable. There are many pressuring legislative issues in which Congress does not have the votes at the moment, but that is not a reason for a strong leader to back away from the fight. I mean, there's so much more when it comes down to the pro-life movement. Everybody just always brings up, abortion rights. Abortion rights is the only thing that comes along with the pro-life movement. I think we need to open up our eyes just a little bit more and actually pay attention to what the pro-life movement is actually about. And it's like all life. It's all life is actually measurable. So, I mean, when Frog thinks like a vegan, what the fuck? No. I did not ask her what anything meant. No. Never would. Of course I'd ask her. She's actually fairly intelligent when it comes down to it. I think you don't give her what she deserves. The group had previously applauded DeSantis when he announced his presidential run in May. The Dannenfelser applauded the governor in transforming the Sunshine State from this late-term abortion happen to one of the best states in the nation, unborn children and mothers. I know. Sorry, Dave. That did not come out right. So bad. So bad. I'm sorry. In April, Dan Felser said 2024 GOP frontrunner Trump's position on the issue is morally indefensible, position of self-proclaimed pro-life presidential candidate to hold. A few weeks later, Trump attended a meeting in Dan Felser's Senator Lindsey Graham and Family Research Council President Tony Perkins, which she called terrific. The SBA has vowed to oppose candidates who don't embrace the 15-week abortion ban standard, condemning former South Carolina Governor Nimrata Haley for declining to get behind a federal policy proposal on the issue and saying that federal limits are not realistic. Federal limits are not. I mean, the only time that federal limit would actually be realistic is if we actually went ahead and said that nobody could abort anywhere at any point in time. This particular movement of the Susan B. Anthony group going after DeSantis for this particular issue on a 6-week ban really seriously is something that we can maybe take a closer look at. And I kind of agree with them to a point when it comes down to it. It should be between a woman and her doctor privately and not everything or anything else when it comes down to it. So, I mean, 6 weeks maybe still be too much. But yet at the same time, asking for him to actually feel something towards a federal ban, it might be a little bit, wrong in itself. Clearly has caught dumb for me, people. No, you haven't. You people. Yeah, right. That's you people. What's Shandi? What's racist? What are you calling out? You can't just say that's racist and just assume that we all understand what you're saying. Susan B. Anthony would not be happy. Do we care? Is she around anymore? Darth did call us you people. He clearly said you people. Supreme Court poised to rain on Biden administration. I really needed to actually go through this list of stuff again one more time before doing the show. The Supreme Court is still giving the Biden administration trouble as a result of the court's recent decision that President Joe Biden's $430 billion transfer to student debt was illegal. The government may soon see its proposal to tax the wealthy reversed. Although the court will hear cases this fall involving the rights to bear arms, the authority of federal agencies, and whether the phrase Trump too small could be trademarked. More versus United States. Why would they? What? Trump too small can be trademarked. Really? Are you sure about that? And they're going to actually go ahead and throw a dissent on whether or not it could be trademarked. Hey, if you come up with something you want to trademark it, I feel that you should be able to trademark whatever you wanted. For you to actually go ahead and try, trademarking Trump too small, it really seriously makes no sense whatsoever. Can't you come up with anything better? How stupid do you have to be to actually come up with that slogan, that phrase, and ask for it to be trademarked? More v. United States could have a most impact on Biden. That argument concerns whether Biden may impose a wealth tax, something he has frequently advocated. One of the wealthier men in the United States, and he's going to have an issue? Oh, okay. Reward work, not just wealth. Passed by proposal for a minimum tax. Biden said during the State of the Union address earlier this year, because no billionaire should pay a lower tax rate when a school teacher or a firefighter. It shouldn't be lower. It should almost be equal, not more either. Mad Core Mofo. What is up, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Elizabeth, oh gee, afternoon to you. I was here but not here, left myself logged on. Awesome. Good to see you. Biden later proposed a 25% annual tax on all gains and wealth in excess of $100 million in a given year, including unrealized capital gains, which aren't currently taxable. The White House says that the tax would only apply to the top 0.01%, 0.01 of the highest earners, while the proposal faces long odds of Republican-controlled House of Representatives. It could be nixed permanently if the High Court rules such a tax is unconstitutional, the Washington Examiner reported. You know why he wants it the way he wants it? Because technically he doesn't fall in that group. He's not in the 0.01%. Because all the monies that he's actually, transferred in and out through Ukraine and any other laundering is actually gone to multiple different accounts, and they're not all under his own name. So technically, it doesn't look like he actually has that much money. Top Tweety. The specifics of the Moore case didn't involve huge amounts of money, but centered around the same issues of taxation and definition of the word income. The outlet added Charles and Kathleen Moore, a Washington state-based couple, made nearly $40,000 investment into the Indian company in 2005 and never received any money or other payments from companies, even though it made a profit every year. The outlet added, under the 2017 tax reform law, they learned that they are subjected to mandatory registration tax of $14,729. They paid that amount and then they filed suit, seeking a refund and claiming that the tax violates the Constitution's appropriament clause. The 16th Amendment authorizes Congress to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without appropriament among the several states. That means that federal government cannot tax stock gains, which are the source of wealth of many billionaires, unless those stocks are sold. Progressive leaders have for years railed against the state of affairs. Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden, you see that independent Democrat, supporting a tax on wealth itself rather than direct income. This guy in himself, Mr. Bernie Sanders, he used to say millionaires and billionaires until he became a millionaire, and then he was like, just them billionaires, just the billionaires need to be. So they keep on changing their story as they get richer. They get more money, they don't really care as much. I wonder how much the world's money Zelensky has squirreled away. Yeah, right. An appeals court ruled that Moors could be taxed this way, saying there's no constitutional prohibition against Congress attributing corporations income pro rata in the shareholder. But the Supreme Court could reverse that ruling, rendering the reparation tax and future wealth-based taxes off limits at the federal level. The 16th Amendment allows the federal government to impose the income tax without appropriating them among the states. But courts have always limited the taxes to the word income and said that the word is meaningful. It doesn't just mean whatever the government wants it to mean. Income. And that's where the issue comes into play, because it says income. If I have $1 million and I put it in the bank and I continue to grow interest off of it and I can live off just the interest for the rest of my life, I no longer have an income. That's where their issue is. They're not actually taxing people for the monies that they have, the monies that they already earned. They're not retaxing them over and over again. And that's why we see people like Donald Trump, when he actually also say, oh, we need to see his tax returns. Or you see Joe Biden or Hunter Biden refusing to actually file their taxes properly to actually get away with whatever they possibly can off of that money. Isn't because they're actually making income. It's because they're actually no longer making an income. They're living off of the interest accrued from the income that was taxed once before. There's a lot more to go along with this that we're not really paying attention to. Why have my fingers recalibrate? I don't know where the buttons are. What? Then made them legal. What? Income taxes are illegal? I know that sounds like bullshit, but I really knew a guy who won in court, never pay again. But it looks like 5 years, and if you lose, you go to prison. Along with the Chamber of Commerce and the Americans Tax Reform, the Cato Institute is one of the numerous groups that has submitted amicus briefs in support of Moors. Hearings are probably going to start in October. Scholars have long disagreed on whether unrealized capital gains should be regarded as income. Berry proposes the Biden and other Democrats instead attempt to increase conventional income taxes, which is what he is also aiming to accomplish, as well as through measures like tariffs on imported goods. In his speeches, Biden regularly brings up the concept of tax of the super rich, alleging that they pay a little of 3% of their income in taxes on average, which is lower than a middle class employees. You can never predict for certain, but I think the justices will be concerned about setting a new precedent here and opening the door to a lot of taxes that we've never seen before at the federal level. If you earn something, you pay your taxes. If you didn't earn anything, you don't have taxes to pay. It goes off of your income. It always has. To actually believe that because somebody has a savings somewhere and thinking that you should get more money from them is kind of ridiculous because they saved it. They're smart enough and able to actually do such a thing. That's their prerogative, and we need to actually stay out of it. Now, if they're actually earning income, yes, definitely. We go after people like Hunter Biden, who's earning income and putting it into multiple different accounts, regardless to whose account it actually is. Supreme Court will hear a number of cases that fall in the promising chances of restraint of federal administrative state. The court has agreed to rule on cases in contest of the constitutionality of the agency funding scheme that is exempt from the congressional appropriations process and regular congressional oversight, as well as practice of federal courts' extended judicial deference to agency interpretations of the laws they are tasked with enforcing. The court also agreed to hear a case that could bring back the jury trial to a class of civil cases that are currently handled solely by judges who work for administrative agencies. One of the most important cases in the upcoming term may be SEC versus JARC because of the reinstate the right to jury trial in administrative civil cases, Daily Signal reported. It's ridiculous for us to actually continuously go over this particular instance. But, they're going to go after the Supreme Court's not going to allow this to actually happen. There's going to be stuff that's going to come through Supreme Court this fall that hopefully a lot of us will be actually happy with, as opposed to what is actually currently going on. Abolish amendments 11 through 25. The amendment process was put there for a particular reason, to actually continue to show growth. The hard part is that they've actually gone to the point. They've actually gone to the point of actually using these amendments for bad things. It sounds extreme, or is it extreme? Or is it something that just maybe should actually be looked at closer on each one of the amendments that were actually there, and maybe abolish just a couple of them, few. Hasn't actually worked been that way. The 16th Amendment made it that way. I tell you, America's losing the Civil War. Fucked everything up. I agree. There's an awful lot of amendments that we need to actually look at. 16th, 19th, those ones that we need to actually pay attention to and look at a little bit closer, and quit assuming that everything is just okay with the way these amendments are actually put into play, and look at who actually did put them into play. Who is actually in control of all of these amendments when they were actually instituted. And what kind of what can we do better for everybody to be make it a better place for everybody to live? Because that's what it is. That's what we're supposed to be here is to actually have the freedoms to actually live here without having to worry about somebody else's running over the top of us and treating us like we're lessers than they are. Really? I'm this far into it? I'm just going to take a quick glance. Yeah. We're getting down there. We're about halfway through. No, we're better than halfway through. Oklahoma National Guard joined 12 other states in Texas border security mission. Several states' governors. These governors include Kim Reynolds out of Iowa, Glenn Youngkin out of Virginia, Sarah Huckabee out of Arkansas, Ron DeSantis out of Florida, Brad Little out of Idaho, Jim Pillion out of New England, out of Nebraska, out of Doug Bergman out of North Dakota, Mike DeWine out of Ohio, Kevin Stitt out of Oklahoma, Henry McMaster of South Carolina, Kristi Noem out of South Dakota, Bill T out of Tennessee, and Jim Justice out of West Virginia have all gone ahead, and they're actually going to push the members of their National Guard down to the Texas border to support Operation Lone Star. The Guardsmen will join the soldiers and airmen from 12 other states. Every single one of these states are actually going to deploy National Guard to the southern border to actually help prevent what is actually going to be another onslaught of immigrants that are going to come be pushing up this area. You know, damn well, if you could actually take and look closer to see who is all coming through and ready to come, you know, that treacherous hike up through Mexico, up this way, there's a lot more coming. If you think that the 7 million that are already here, if not more, it isn't going to increase over the next month or two, I think you're greatly mistaken. I think you're greatly mistaken. Is they going to start shooting the illegal aliens? I don't know. But they're going to actually call a bunch of guards into place so that they can actually stop them from crossing into Texas. They don't want them to come into Texas. They're going to sure as hell try to turn them around as best as they possibly can. You get enough people that are from all these other states, you might as well call it a national disaster when it comes down to it. Do they know I got my lawnmower, my own? Who are you paying to do that? The Oklahoma troops will be forced to multiply guard officials. They will not be exercising any law enforcement authority along the border. It will be local law enforcement agencies that are responsible for investigating, then, if necessary, detaining those people if they're involved in illegal activities. Oklahoma Nation Guard Deputy Public Affairs Officer Leanne Tumbleson told the Oklahoma radio station. So, you know, as far as that goes, each one of these governors has actually pushed their National Guard, and it's going to bolster their system and hopefully actually stop people from actually being able to actually cross into the United States over that border. Yeah, George Lament, Koolfrogg, yeah, you're back on. Yes, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every night. I go live for anywhere between, I don't know, 3 to 5 hours, depending on the night, depending on how much news has actually happened and what I've actually, you know, been able to actually include into a night's worth of work. Commerce Department threatens small businesses with mafia-made warning. Ooh, part of the parcel of Biden administration's relentless push for radical green energy climate alarmist agenda. A Republican lawmaker claimed the Commerce Department is using taxpayer-funded survey to threaten small businesses to regime compliance. I rise today to condemn the bullying and threatening of American businesses being conducted by United States Department of Commerce. McCormick said his small business owners brought attention to the Commerce Department using U.S. Census Bureau's annual business survey to push compliance in the efforts to expand administration's green agenda. In the Census Bureau's annual business survey, business owners are now asked if they invested in a list of so-called green initiatives to fight climate change. And if you're not part of their climate change agenda, they're going to screw the shit out of you because they don't care. I remember when Frog used to go live at midnight like a real Minnesota liar. You know, yeah, I used to. But, you know, Rick 8 o'clock is kind of a hard time to actually continue with. And I was actually getting more viewership by actually moving my time that couple hours earlier, or hour and a half earlier than what I had originally was doing. The Biden administration has catered to its far leftist base by championing an aggressive and ever-expanding list of environmental mandates, McCormick argued, which have put a jeopardy mired small business that can't afford compliance without passing along exorbitant prices increases to their customers. If you're a local baker, dry cleaner, peanut farmer hasn't been able to invest geothermal energy or renewable purchase power agreement or extra battery powered storage, they're asked these threatening questions. Are you afraid of lost sales? Do you foresee it getting a bad reputation? Do you think you might be harder to raise capital or secure lines of credit? Do you think you might be fined by the government? Do you think your business will suffer if we implement a carbon tax? It's really kind of ridiculous to actually believe how far they've actually gone with this green agenda to actually try pushing it that, even as small business owners, you must comply with all of this. We're going to ask you a multitude of questions to actually comply. And if you don't continue to comply with us and you have a larger carbon footprint than you actually do need, we're going to actually fine you accordingly. And there's going to be an awful lot of small businesses that had already, been lost at one point in time that are slowly starting to come back that are going to feel that crunch yet one more time because of this shit. McCormick compared the Commerce Department's implemented threat to retaliation and noncompliance and its potential consequences to the mafia's strong-arm extortion tactics. The bottom line of the radical leftists is to charge our executive branch. That's a nice business you have there. It'd be a change if something happened. It'd be a change if something happened to it. Okay. Small business owners pushed back against the survey of one of the commentator comparing it to how business is done in communist China, while another assured that as a small business owner, we haven't received one of those yet, but rest assured, if we do, my husband will hand it over to me to answer, and they might not like my response. Oh my. Let's continue to ask a whole ton of questions of small businesses to make them actually go along with our bullshit and see how far we actually get. McCormick compared the administration's survey to rancid push-pull that had been weaponized in leading questions. This is more like a shove poll. This is a federal government threatening American business to engage in government push policy or else. Well, here's a warning of my own. If you work at the Department of Commerce and you're responsible for this disgusting language, you'll be hearing from Congress very soon. Yay! All small business owners, get ready. You're going to be hearing from Congress pretty soon. They're going to ask you these particular questions. They're going to ask you if you could actually lower your carbon footprint. And if you can't do it and you can't comply with them, they're going to fine you for not doing such a thing. Because, that's the best way to do it, as opposed to actually just being like, well, can you try? They're just going to be like, oh, here, fine. Take care of it, or are we going to continue to fine you? Time for bureaucratic overreach must come to an end. The federal government exists to serve and protect Americans and their livelihoods, not to pick winners or losers, not to destroy industries, and not to impose climate change ideology on hundreds of thousands of businesses that bring prosperity to American families every day. They don't care about anybody. They don't care about anybody. All they care about is themselves and their own ridiculous ideologies. Gas prices are going down. Bidenomics is a miracle. Wrong. That federal tax still isn't added back on yet. Wait till that happens. There's a lot of questions. If we eat several bugs a year, and there's millions, if you include bugs that are smaller than 20 microns, such as dust mites. Yes, I just breathed in and I sucked a bunch of them up. I feel so much better. I just ate. I remember the guy coming in our shop doing the survey on his bill. Holy shit. Yes, cereal. You eat the bugs and you'll be okay. Just eat the bugs. Eat all the bugs. We'll actually mass produce the bugs and we'll make you eat some more. There may be many more gun owners than we thought. Oh, really? Isn't that something? You don't say. You don't say. Not every single person keeps their guns at the bottom of the lake, huh? Americans' gun owners are many and varied, but there really aren't good numbers of how many guns are actually out there. You see numbers between 400, 500 million um, bandied about, although I've always expected there are many more that out there, but good numbers of gun ownership are hard to come by. Why? It's unreliable as polling is. As it remained remarkably consistent in one area, according to the Gallup, gun ownership is per household in 1961 was about 49%. In 93 it was about 51%. Despite numerous social changes, including population movement in rural areas, the sharp decrease in hunting as a national pastime and proliferation of laws meant they inhibit ownership. In 2013, household ownership was at around 45%, fluctuating somewhere in the mid 40s for the next decade. A Gallup undercounting the overall percentage, as they just went ahead and they called out polling as not being very accurate. They're actually going to go ahead and they're going to actually look at this Gallup poll to see how accurate. What? A new study from New Jersey Gun Violence Research Center in Rutgers finds that significant percentage of firearm owners may not feel comfortable disclosing their ownership status. The study maintains that many of these identified as potentially falsely denying firearm ownership are women living alone in urban environments. Get out your guns and keep them to yourself. And when you take a poll, do as everybody else does and make it look like you have less than you really do, because that way when they come, they show up at your door, you have a couple more things to actually remove the unwanted, warrantless, disgusting, disturbing people that you don't want around. Could these people possibly not feel comfortable disclosing their ownership status because interfering local polls and activists screech about disarming law abiding? Could it be because they see what's happening elsewhere in the world, where the citizens are disarmed, and they're reading about their neighbors who are deterring crime with legally owned guns? Let's go back. Let's look at this real quick. When we actually think about disarming of law abiding, this right here, disarming of law abiding, when it comes down to it, every single group of people, every single civilization that's ever disarmed their citizens end up taking them over at one point in time, as they didn't like them anyway. It was a way for them to actually control them in easier ways by actually just taking away their guns. This study largely frames the problem of underreporting the roadblock of interacting with new gun owners and teaching the safety procedures. That seems to be a convenient way to sell the study to media, because legal gun owners, notwithstanding cultural depictions of them as a bunch of reckless yahoos, are quite conscientious about safety. So please keep lying to pollsters about your guns. It's none of their business. I'm not sure lying is the key factor here, although it sure is a contributor. But while I pride myself in scrupulous honesty, I can't blame someone, say an urban single mom who has gone through a lengthy, expensive process of illegally buying a gun for self-protection, and may be reluctant to discuss that purchase with a stranger. And by the way, one might remember that some jurisdictions are releasing Burgle Me Here list publishings and names and addresses of legal concealed carry permit holders, which is one of the strongest arguments of the constitutional carry that one could muster. Look for the trend to accelerate anytime there is a crisis. During the COVID pandemic, or COVID panic, sales of guns, especially the first-time owners, spiked, and those numbers continue to rise today. And as politicians shout about the need to curb and reverse the trend, watch for the new gun owners to be primarily close-mouthed about their purchases. Another issue here is that purely in my own considered opinion, formed by 50 years of gun collecting, hunting, and shooting, I think there are far more guns in private ownership than 4 or 500 million you see bandied about. And in a penalty of jurisdiction, like here in Alaska, it's perfectly legal to sell a gun to your neighbor or a guy who answered an ad with no background check and records required. After all, you are dealing with your own private property. Just not only are records or sales not reliable, records of manufacture aren't either. Bear in mind that before 1968, manufacturers were not required to put serial numbers on guns. Manufacturers were not regulated as they are now, and many small benchtop gunsmiths were and are assembling working firearms. Add that to the vast number of perfectly functional black powder guns out there, which still today are not regulated as firearms, except for a few local jurisdictions. And I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect the number is closer to a billion. A billion. That's a lot of guns out there, a lot of gun ownership that's actually going on that they're actually not going ahead and letting you know about. Yes, like them Uzis, for sure. I'd hunt the shit out of that deer. I'd love, yes, hunt up some deer, brother. I'm totally down with that. I live in the mountains of South Dakota. There's a ton of white-tailed deer on here. It's awesome. Hunting is of the abundance. It's amazing. To the rabbits, god damn it. You have reason to have a gun here and lots of checks, etc. Everyone should have a gun in case of communism. Of course they should. Don't ever give up all your weaponry. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. It seems the world's away the gun argument. The amount of graping that has occurred in America had a house of British soldiers is one of the more prevalent reasons for the 2A, of course. Who doesn't have an Uzi? I used to hunt deer, but it's too boring and a pain in the ass and don't really like the taste. Really? So bring the pig? I mean, I'm down with the pork. I get that. But, when it comes down to the hunting the deer, having, venison sticks or any kind of sort is so good. What's up, Clumsy? Good to see you, dear. It's understandable why the current political environment, gun owners would be reluctant to talk to pollsters. Personally, I don't speak to pollsters in any topic. I hang up on them. That's an interesting thought in itself. Why are we taking polls in any way, shape, or form anyway? Okay. Happy full moon. Yes. Happy full moon to you. First one is supposed to be a super moon. Should be actually kind of fun. I can't wait for the meteor shower in mid-month around the 15th. And the blue moon that's supposed to actually show up at the end of the month for the 30th. Yes, there is a moon. Yes, absolutely. Go outside, Darth. Go touch some grass. Go see it. All right. Well, let's see here. What else we got here? Biden's preparing to declare pandemic-like climate emergency. Energy insiders warn. It's coming. It's coming. He's going to try doing whatever he can to go after whatever he possibly can when it comes to Climate Energy Act. Here's the Climate Energy Act of 2021. He's going to actually go ahead and he's going to push this. He's going to push it to its fullest extent to try doing whatever he can to get you to not go outside. And then he's going to actually take away things that they've already been taken away. They've been taking away your gas stoves and your heaters and your thermostats and your anything else that they possibly can come up with. And if you think that's all he's going after with this particular bill, here, What's next? Oh, ban on light bulbs starts this week. If you don't have your incandescent bulbs that you all like so very much, you better go out and actually buy up a whole swath of them before they're actually taken away and no longer able to actually be sold. Get in your pod and eat the bugs. Yes. Starting on Tuesday, the Biden administration will phase out incandescent light bulbs in favor of the energy efficient ones. After a year of efforts to do so, since previous President Donald Trump's administration blocked the rule that would do so, a minimum requirement for light bulbs will be that they be at 45 lumens, an improvement above the average 12 to 18 lumens per watt of incandescent bulbs. Was adopted by the Department of Energy last year and will go into effect on August 1st. You got very little time. Oh, it's the first. Good thing that they actually finally gone ahead and actually brought this article out for us. And that's so nice of them to actually do it right at the last moment. Be like, here's your article. Ban on incandescent light bulbs. It just really seriously, it's very disturbing to actually see how far they're actually going with everything, taking away everything that we all love all so much. And no one's the light bulbs, from what I heard, made them actually last more than a year. Fucking me over all the time is dirty little secret of England. Americans were second class. Incandescent bulbs are cancer. And if you look at it that way, I guess and that's the way I feel. That's the way I feel. No, it's the best lighting. Incandescent light bulbs are the best. I don't like these newer style bulbs. These environmentally friendly LEDs use 75% less energy and can last as much as 25 times longer than the traditional incandescent bulbs. Therefore, the choice has been made to conserve energy to help consumers save on their energy bills. This isn't something new that they're actually speaking of. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. I can't think of what the TV show is. The last TV show that was actually put out by Tim Taylor here, whatever Tim Two-Man Taylor. You know who I'm talking about? He actually did a different show with the three girls. And he actually had a show that was actually centered around incandescent bulbs and them actually pushing Tim Allen stuff. Yes, they're actually pushing for that particular style of light bulb that's going away also slowly to actually come back and actually be a thing. Yeah, he did a TV show that he actually did out of Colorado. When it came down to this light bulb issue, it's actually a decent show about how they were actually going to go after our light bulbs. And look at us now, 2023, going after our light bulbs and telling us that we can't actually have such a thing any longer. It's ridiculous how TV shows of the past have actually told us the truth that we all just kind of took for granted and been like, that won't happen. Look at it now. It's happening. They're taking away light bulbs. If you think that's bad, look at that. The left is coming for your cigars. How you feel about that? They're like, nah. Gas stoves, dishwashers, plastic straws, gas cars, snowmobiles, and diving boards. And now the health busybodies want to ban certain cigars. Recently, a gang of senators led by Senator Jeff Merkley, Democrat out of Oregon, wrote a letter to the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Robert Califf, arguing that the agency to ban a heavily regulated flavored cigar sales. Under pressure from the health lobby, the FDA's Center of Tobacco Products said it's primed to take action this week's ahead. Do they seriously think? Yeah, the fuck they doing? Exactly. Do they seriously think taking away these cigars is the reason for anything? Sadly, most people don't really smoke the tobacco that's in these cigars. they usually empty them out and turn them into some kind of spliff of some sort so that they actually have a decent sized paper to roll their marijuana in. It's not about the tobacco. It's about going after those that they wish to actually go after. It's so ridiculous how far they've actually gone with this crap. Uh, yes, blunts, spliffs, whatever you want to call it. In 2009, Congress and President Barack Obama enacted a Family Smoking Prevention Tobacco Control Act to give the federal government the tools it need to keep cigarettes, vapes, and other addictive tobacco substances out of the reach of children's hands. It doesn't happen unless the parent actually pays attention to their child. When the parent doesn't pay attention to the child, it turns into kids at the age of 14, 15 years old. Yep, I was one of them that become cigarette smokers and cigar smokers, weed smokers, and it was smoking about anything else. Is it like smoking a candle? This smells so good. Cloves. Ew. Ew. They're so harsh and so hard to take. But yes, they're going after your cigars now. They're like, nope, anything that has any kind of flavor to them, they want to actually remove them. So it's not that you won't be able to get cigars, but you're not going to get any, strawberry or vanilla or whatever flavored cigars. They're gone. They're gone. They're going to actually remove them from all sales, and you're going to get, just regular cigars that actually taste like ass. So much fun. I'm not going to go through this one either. Archaeologists figure out how much humans have been burning coal. It's going to be annoying to progressives. Look at that. We've been burning coal for over 3,600 years. I wonder why. I wonder why they're so adamantly going after us for burning fossil fuels now. In the years of 3,600 years ago, that they've actually been started using fossil fuels to actually burn for energy, for power, for heat, for whatever that they're actually using it for. It's so stupid. Coal's personal source is actually better than wood. Exactly. Selective mining, planned storage, and extensive combustion of coal. You can see, that extensive combustion. It actually does take a lot longer for coal to actually burn off than it does a piece of wood. Pro-nuclear, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then if you actually go back to the very, very first article that I actually read, we were actually talking about nuclear energy because of yesterday's article about Georgia actually implementing and using nuclear power plant. That we actually go and you see that the country of Niger is actually control of most of that country that was just turned over from one to the next. As they actually, did a planned coup and removed their most recent president and installed their own, is actually going to drive up the metal cost of uranium, and that's something. It's like one thing leads to the next, and you're like, oh wait, go back to the beginning. No, don't go back to the beginning quite yet. Finish out here first. Make sure you hit the like button, then you can go back and you can actually listen to it. But for over 3,600 years, yes, we've been burning coal for that long, and now, just now, they have an issue with it. Leprosy alert in the United States. Cases of biblical disease have doubled in at least in the last decade. Was Central Florida considered a hotspot? The U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention have warned that locally acquired cases of leprosy are on the rise in Central Florida, with accounts of about 81% of reported cases in the state and a fifth of all cases in the country. Leprosy is typically brought to the U.S. by immigrants from areas from the disease is an endemic, but more than a third of the cases reported in the southeastern U.S. between 2015 and 2020 were acquired locally. The release cited for one example of a man who sought treatment at a dermatology clinic for a painful rash that began on his extremities, but spread to his torso and face. The man had not traveled either abroad or within the U.S. and had no contact with immigrants as known leprosy patients, indicating that he had acquired the disease in Central Florida. Our case adds the growing body of literature suggesting that Central Florida represents an endemic location for leprosy. The agency warned that travel in the area, even in the absence of risk factors, couldn't prompt consideration of leprosy in an appropriate clinical context. Leprosy is also known as Hansen's disease and has existed since at least 600 BC, and today is most commonly found in Brazil, India, and parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, thought to spread in prolonged contact with infected persons. It causes painful rashes and discoloration of the skin, can lead to muscle wastage, nerve damage, and paralysis. It also has been curable with antibiotics since the mid 20th century, although patients can be left permanently disfigured or physically impaired if not treated early enough. Cases in the U.S. peaked in 1983 before drastically reducing into the early 2000s. However, the number of reported cases has more than doubled in the southeastern U.S. over the last decade, even as the nationwide cases tally remained relatively stable at between 160 to 216 per year. Around 159 cases reported in the U.S. in 2020, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. Worldwide, the number of cases reported annually has fallen from more than 5 million in the 1980s and 200,000 in 2020, according to World Health Organization. And it's just to bring an awareness to this particular issue that this thing called leprosy is actually something that is still going on in this world, and it just so happens to be that there's people in Florida that are contracting it from out of nowhere, as the way they see it, and they've not immigrating anywhere and haven't actually run into anybody else that actually had it before actually receiving it themselves. Kind of dangerous and disturbing to actually think about. And always be careful. Always be careful with yourself whenever you're moving among about the United States. You just never know what you're going to come up with next. CDC warns of anthrax, bioterrorist attacks, and FDA approves a jab for it. Oh, okay, there you go. The U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention has issued an updated warning of the threat of anthrax being used as a bioterrorist attack. The CDC updated a website to warn that anthrax could most likely be used in the United States as hit by bioterrorist attacks. If a bioterrorist attack were to happen, Bacillus anthracis, the bacteria that causes anthrax, would be one of the biological agents most likely be used. Anthrax makes a good weapon because it can be released quietly and without anyone knowing. The microscopic spores could be put in powders, sprays, food, and water. Because there's no smell, they may not be able to see, smell, or taste them. The CDC warning comes after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved a new anthrax jab just last week. The FDA recently approved Emergent Biosolutions' new anthrax jab to 18 to 65-year-olds. Let's just go ahead and take care of the mass amount of population. Though we don't know much about it or why it's actually, could potentially be a thing. Even if you hadn't already been attacked, let's go jab you right away so that we can protect you before you actually get something. I wonder how they're going to actually make those. If y'all haven't done so already, please hit that like button. That'd be awesome. I really do appreciate it. For the CDC to actually go ahead and actually do such a thing, it's really kind of disturbing to actually think about why they're actually continuing to come up with these particular jabs to try taking care of things, and now they want to actually go after the warning of a threat of anthrax being in and around used as a bioweapon against are citizens of the United States. Anthrax is crazy. When there's a dry spell in Africa, they have 50 animals drop dead. Can't believe you said that on YouTube. Not Rumble. Mind blown. What? Anthrax? Put anthrax in the Tampax and shove it up there, Fauci. Oh, that's good. Roseanne Barr levels former conservative powerhouse Ann Coulter with one tweet. What did she say? Ann Coulter says Bill Barr's position in the Steele dossier is exactly the opposite. And he denounced the Trump intelligence officer who called Hunter Biden's laptop Russian disinformation. Does the Trump cult have anything better than BS conspiracy theory? Ann thinks the media is reporting that the Steele dossier is as real as Hunter Biden's laptop is a conspiracy theory. In a conspiracy theory, you guys, how didn't she type this without choking on her Adam's apple? Way to go, Roseanne Barr. Go hit her where it counts, right in the throat. And we all know how long conspiracy theories last, right? Anywhere between 6 months and a year. And it all comes tumbling down shortly thereafter. I thank you, Roseanne Barr, for that throat punch. That was pretty good. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed that. That is something to actually lighten the mood just a little bit. See if you can. Roseanne has a YouTube channel. I would almost think that if she had anything, she probably has a YouTube channel, has a Rumble channel, if anything, just in case. Exactly, Charlemagne. Love her. She gives zero fucks. Absolutely zero fucks when it comes down to it. And she does a very good job at it. We'll have a couple more laughs before we leave here today. We're going to get a little disturbing here for a few minutes. And then we'll get into something funny so we can actually laugh our way out. Body found in New York City creek is missing Goldman Sachs analyst. Really? Analyst. The body found in the waters of Newton Creek turned into a missing Goldman Sachs analyst, John Castick. Castick, 27, went missing after attending a concert in Brooklyn Saturday night, according to the police. On Tuesday morning, a passerby spotted a body floating face down in the creek and called authorities. The body was identified as Castick. There are no obvious signs of trauma, police said. The New York Post reported the body of Goldman Sachs analyst who vanished after a concert in Brooklyn. Do we need to read it again? Do we actually do we? 11 a.m. Tuesday, the man spotted bloated, shirtless body floating face down in the English Kills, a branch of the East River tributary near 1100 Grind Street. The man called the cops, who sent the NYPD's emergency service unit, recovering the body, which was later identified as Castick. Cops in the source said the body was no obvious signs of trauma apart from drowning. Apart from drowning. To get you sound, they're not saying anything. It's just a view of this particular area where they would have actually found this person laying face down in this particular area. He got wasted and drowned. Maybe just like the Obama chef. It's so young. Yeah, he was fairly young, but Nothing about the fact that he actually worked for Goldman Sachs as an analyst makes us think that there might be any foul play whatsoever. What did this guy know? It's opiates? Maybe. Chefs is like Pokemon. They're weak in water. And actually the funny one is that particular chef was actually a very avid swimmer and was very good at doing just that. What up, 357? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Jewish school nearly avoids school shooting. Here's how they saved lives. Oh, oops. I mean, they couldn't just call it a school? Here's a story that won't get national coverage on the elite media. No, and it isn't. It's on this Red State site. I couldn't actually find this anywhere else until shortly after actually finding this. And I was looking around and, oh, wait, it wasn't on any other leftist media. I did not find it. A would-be mass shooter was stopped and harming children at a Jewish school in Memphis, Tennessee. After failing to gain entrance into a facility, the security measures the school had in place prevented the individual from carrying out what could have been a massive tragedy. Local law enforcement arrived at the scene after receiving a report that the gunman fired his weapon outside of the Margolin Hebrew Academy on Monday after the assailant failed to get inside the building and fled. MPD said it started around 12:20 when a man tried to enter the Margolin Hebrew Academy in Feinstein Yeshiva in the south of White Station Road. All Memphis Shelby County schools were put into precautionary lockdown while law enforcement investigates a situation unfolding across Shelby County. According to Congressman Steve Cohen, the gunman himself, Jewish, a former student of the school. We have recently learned that the shooter is a Margolin Hebrew Academy, himself Jewish and former student of the school. I'm pleased the academy is efficient security and that the police attacked quickly to protect students. After he failed to enter the school, he ran into the contract worker's office of the building and a confrontation ensued, according to the letter the school sent parents. As he ran away from the worker, he fired 2 shots and then 2 more as he drove off, the school said. That man was not able to enter a school and instead fired outside of the building. You don't say. Memphis police told reporters the school officials provided them with a picture of the suspect and description of the vehicle, as we actually seen a description of the suspect above. MPD said the gunman jumped out of his red pickup with a gun and was shot by an officer. That man was then rushed to Regional 1 hospital in critical condition. The situation could have been worse. Fortunately, the school's foresight led to put robust security measures in place to prevent the possible mass shooting. The swift response of law enforcement ensured the suspect was apprehended before he could find another school or public area to target. What the anti-gunner crowd doesn't want you to focus on is a reality that their cherished gun control laws did not stop this individual from trying to actually take out children. In fact, the would-be assailant was carrying a handgun, not one of the assault rifles that the elite media uses to terrify Americans into supporting restrictions of responsible gun owners. This is just one story showing how security measures are far more effective in decreasing lives lost in school shootings than passing a gun control legislation. As more states focus resources on implementing these measures, it will not be surprising to see more of these stories crop up. Stronger security not only prevents shooters from gaining access to school campuses, but it can also discourage them from trying in the first place. Unfortunately, it does not appear the Tennessee legislature has figured this out just yet. Currently, Governor Bill Lee, a Republican, called a special session to hammer out more gun restrictions in the wake of Nashville school shooting that occurred in March. It is not clear yet whether there will be enough votes to pass the latest gun control proposal, which essentially consisted of red flag laws, but it isn't beyond the stretch of imagination to see that it is a possibility. Far too many Republicans are on the board for this type of legislation. What the story shows us is that taking pragmatic steps to protect children while always working better than depriving responsible Americans for their right to keep and bear arms. Unfortunately, our elected officials are more focused on the latter than on the former. While Tennessee legislature looks to pass more gun laws, this Jewish school stopped the potential mass shooter using common sense security measures. Put an armed guard standing there, put somebody around that can actually watch and pay attention and actually go ahead and alert authorities immediately, just so happen to prevent another school shooting from occurring out of a potentially mentally deranged person. Hopefully he actually still gets charged with something of any type of sort. And I don't think him being shot by a cop was enough. People are so angry these days. Has it always been this way? Is he Jewish or Jewish? Yeah, right. Always been this way. All schools should be guarded like prisons. Yes, I agree. They should be guarded. They should be guarded heavily with people that actually care about children. I know if it won't be Melvin's situation where the FBI allowed him to purchase the gun. I was kind of wondering the same thing, really, when it comes down to it. You know, who allowed the purchase of this particular gun, and when it comes down to it, will this actually help those that are actually trying to prevent red tape laws from actually becoming a thing, especially in this great state that they live in of Tennessee. You know, it's really something to actually think about across the United States, as opposed to actually disarming everybody, which allows criminals to actually, still do whatever it is that they want to do, instead of protecting everybody from them. Convicted sex offender sent back to Seattle area Pedo Island after removal of halfway house for parole violations. You just let go. A convicted level 3 sex offender deemed one of the worst of the worst and most likely to reoffend is back in a prison facility for offenders on the island of Washington State after violating terms of a supervised release to a halfway house. Sexually violent predator Stephen Knapp was relocated to less restricted alternative home in Enumclaw, Washington, January, sparking a massive public outcry, especially since the facility sits among the homes with young children and next to a school bus stop. Last week, he was sent back to McNeil Island, an incarceration facility for violent offenders and predators. The Washington Department of Corrections told the Post-Millennial in a statement that there were several reasons for Knapp's removal from the LRA. Knapp was in possession of a dowel that had been sharpened at one end that was apparently left by contractors who had been working on a fence on the property. Knapp claimed he needed it for self-defense. He told investigators he faced constant harassment and threats in his safety from the community. Don't quit making yourself feel that way and quit doing things to small children. You can see attempted raping of a child and the child molestation in the first degree as those offenses that he was already sitting on are reasons to actually send him back to where he deserves to be in this particular prison for the rest of his life. Disgusting, disturbing asshole. Quit fucking the children. Oh, come on. You don't need to pop up every other time that we come into your site. Get out of here. At least 4 people shot outside a Mississippi hospital. The shooting took place in Columbus, Mississippi on Monday afternoon, with at least 4 different people being shot. The attack was reportedly carried out at the Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle, around 4 p.m. Columbus Police Chief Joseph Daughtry said that 4 people had been apprehended in regarding to the shooting. He believes the gunfire erupted in hospital premises, but does not know the precise location. WCBI reported that 1 victim was flown to Memphis Hospital and 2 were in surgery as of 6 p.m. Witnesses of the event, over 30 gunshots could be heard in the area. This is breaking story and will be updated. If there's updates tomorrow, you may actually hear more about this in particular. I would assume that there'd be some kind of update if there's a good update. If they actually found the people that were actually involved in the shooting in any way, shape, or form, then yes, maybe. Otherwise, this might be actually something that we could actually just keep in the back of our heads, that 4 people were potentially tried to be unalived in this incident. It's really kind of scary and disturbing how many people are willing to go around and try shooting people for absolutely no reason. Why try shooting at a hospital? The interesting one is as I was reading that right anywhere, school, shopping club, nightclub, shopping malls, hospitals, anywhere, stop it. Stop going after people for no reason. Was the one. 1 victim was flown to Memphis Hospital. Flown to a Memphis hospital. Carried out at a Baptist Memorial Hospital. Really? I'm confused. You were at a hospital. They had to actually fly you from a hospital to a different hospital. Okay, I guess. Yes, flown to a Memphis hospital after being shot outside a hospital. New Hampshire beachgoers witnessed a small plane crash into surf flip in the water. So another plane crash. Just 2 days ago, there was a couple that actually happened up in Wisconsin, where there's a couple plane crashes. Are people just seriously like dumb, or what are they doing? A small plane that crashed into the ocean just off the New Hampshire beach over the weekend flipped upside down when it hit the water before slowly rolling back into upright position. The pilot of the single-engine Piper PA-18 plane that had been holding a banner advertising a concert made his own way out of the aircraft after Saturday's noontime crash and was assisted ashore by Hampton's beach lifeguards who moments before had been keeping a close eye on swimmers. The pilot was evaluated in the scene but has not hurt. The plane has been buzzing over the crowd beach all morning, dragging banner for the Eagles tribute band playing Saturday night at a local venue, said Tammy Newland of the Fitchburg, Massachusetts, who was at the beach with her boyfriend and caught the video on the crash of the plane. Of course, they don't want to actually give us the video. They don't want to give us the video of it actually happening, but they want to actually point out that there's another accident, another plane, another injury, or if they say he wasn't injured, that he actually got away with scot-free from actually injuring himself, but yet another plane crash happening within short time. Eagles tribute band banner. Yes. Kind of embarrassing, I guess. A couple laughs before we go away. Whoopi Goldberg admits she's wishing she had never gotten married as she laments 3 boring and expensive divorces before hitting out at her View co-host Joy Bear for joking she should find a younger husband. All right, so I'm gonna reshare this because it's a video. It's a video, and we like to pick on Whoopi Goldberg. It's so much fun.
If you're going to put pressure, then marry a guy who's younger than you. At my age, I did that. It's very important to have somebody who can do the heavy lifting.
Yes, yes. In fact, your husband is younger.
Yeah.
Your husband is younger.
7
My
years.
husband is younger.
Yeah, why
Mine's
not?
same age.
I don't care.
Mine's the same age.
Whoopi's over it.
Well, but I will leave you with this. Falling in love again. Asking why. We'll be right back.
If you're going to put
How bad is that? Marry a younger guy. Marry a younger guy. You need somebody to do the heavy lifting. You know. Just a little song for y'all. That make you feel better? Okay, Karen Johnson. Yes. She couldn't make it using her own name. She knew it. She knew that she couldn't do it. Okay, no more audio for y'all. Still something funny. Lizzo fat shamed, sexually harassed 3 of her dancers. Oops. Lizzo, widely considered an icon of inclusivity and body positivity, has been accused of creating a hostile work environment by fat shaming and sexually harassing 3 of her former dancers. The 44-page suit filed with the Los Angeles Superior Court, sent to the Daily Beast by the plaintiff's lawyers, outlines the damning allegations against Melissa Vivian Jefferson, aka Lizzo, her production company Big Girl Big Touring, and her dance team captain Charlene Quigley. Beyond a hostile work environment and sexual harassment, the suit has claimed that Lizzo and her team were responsible for assault, racial and religious harassment, disability discrimination, intentional interference, and prospective economic advantage, and false imprisonment. While not every claim is brought against each defendant, the suit says the defendants never stepped in to put an end to the inappropriate behavior, whether it came from Lizzo, Quigley, or the Big Girl Big Touring management. The stunning nature of Lizzo and her management team treated the performers seems to go against everything Lizzo stands for publicly, while privately she weight shames her dancers and demeans them in a way to not only illegal and absolutely demoralizing, says the Tubble Lard herself as she goes along and actually picks on other people for doing this, being the same way. Maybe she doesn't see it in herself. Maybe she just sees herself as, maybe she's got some kind of dysphoria that stops her from seeing herself as also being the same. 2 plaintiffs, Ariana Davis and Crystal Williams, began dancing for Lizzo and competing as contestants in her reality TV show, Watch Out for Big Girls. The same year, the 3rd plaintiff, Noel Rodriguez, who hired following her performance of Lizzo's Rumors music video, Davis and Williams have since been fired. Rodriguez resigned earlier this year, their suit says. According to the complaint, Lizzo and her choreographer, called Davis in for a meeting a few months ago where they questioned why she seemed less committed and less bubbly and vivacious. The suit says the comments made reference to her weight again, which Lizzo was allegedly pointed out after the performance of the South by Southwest Festival. In professional dance, a dancer's weight gain is often seen as that dancer's getting lazy or worse off as a performer. Lizzo, worse off as a performer, says, yeah, but you're a great performer, aren't you, Lizzo? Disgusting. Lizzo and the choreographer's questions about Miss Davis's commitment to the tour were thinly veiled concerns of Miss Davis's weight gain. The sexual harassment claims stem from outing Lizzo invited the dancers to attend following a show in Amsterdam in February 2023. While attendance of non-mandatory in suit claims Lizzo typically expected dancers to endear themselves to her and favored those that attended her after-party events. The three dancers accepted Lizzo's invitation with knowing that the Amsterdam red light district, known as the sex clubs and nudity, the suit states, although the plaintiffs expressed misgivings, they say they reluctantly went along to fear over the job security. At a club calling Bana Bar, the suit claims Lizzo argued with the dancers to touch the nude performers, catch dildos launched from the performers' VJs, and eat bananas that were protruding from the performers' VJs. What in the freaking hell? How disgusting do you have to be to actually do such a thing? Call out your performers and then make them actually perform these particular acts. Specifically, Lizzo allegedly pressured Davis into touching the breasts of a nude female performer, even leading a chant demanding she do so. According to the suit, even Davis reiterated her discomfort, and the chants apparently continued, and Davis caved in. The group laughed at her, and Davis tried to hide how uncomfortable the interaction made her. The suit states that Lizzo's management and security team asked if Davis was okay to the suit. It says she replied, kind of, no. Lizzo herself pressured plaintiffs and all the employees to attend outings where nudity and sexuality were a focal point and disregarded their apprehension from plaintiffs. The suit reads, this work environment would shock the conscience of anyone as it did for plaintiffs. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? She sounds like a bully. Body positivity is a mental endemic. You might remember Freckle Rock. Okay, my lady's taking my 5-minute timeout. Not my kind of music. I've never honestly say I've heard any of it. There's like maybe one song that was kind of popular that a bunch of people did a clip from and did like a couple dance moves or whatever, one of those TikTok style shorts or whatever. And that's the only thing I've ever known. During the same outing, Lizzo also allegedly badgered one of her security guards to get up on stage. His pants were pulled down to expose his butt, and suit alleges that Lizzo yelled, "Take it off," as the club performer whipped him. Plaintiffs were aghast with little regard Lizzo showed for the bodily autonomy of her employees and those around her, especially the presence of many people whom she employed. A month later, the suit claims Lizzo again invited the dancers to the night out in Paris, but failed to mention the location was a nude cabaret bar. Although the suit describes the outing as artful and nowhere near the uncomfortable, it says the plaintiffs were shocked that Lizzo would conceal the nature of the event from them, robbing them from the choice not to participate. Back in the U.S., the suit described the excruciating re-audition in April 2023 after Lizzo accused a dancer of not performing up to par. Drinking on the job, if Lizzo did not make their performance, the suit claims she vowed to fire the dancers. The re-audition was so brutal the dancers were not allowed to take breaks. According to the suit, it apparently got so bad that Davis lost control of her bladder after not stepping away to the bathroom out of fear of losing her job. Lizzo allegedly reminded the dancers that none of their jobs were safe. The next day, she continued to claim that the dancers drank prior to the shows without basis in any sort of reality. When Williams rebutted Lizzo's drinking allegations, the suit says Lizzo mockingly replied, "Well, if you're not, then good for y'all." Tensions between the dancers and Lizzo kept rising in subsequent meetings in April and May. At one meeting, Lizzo overheard someone question Williams' firing, the suit says, and allegedly demanded they reveal themselves while declaring she had eyes and ears everywhere. The complaint also complains Lizzo told the dancers not to socialize with Williams before she left New Orleans, where the tour was performing. During another meeting, the suit alleges Lizzo became furious, hurling expletives at the group and stated that she was going to go around the room person by person after finding out dancer audio recorded her at an earlier meeting. Davis admitted to the recording, which the suit says she took to keep a copy of Lizzo's performance notes. Although Davis told Lizzo she deleted it, Lizzo allegedly said, "There's nothing you can say to make me believe you." Lizzo and Quigley took turns berating Davis before the singer fired her on the spot. Anybody that's out there that actually listens to this vriage and the ignorance that she actually tries to push amongst her own staff should maybe think again, because she's not being very inclusive in any way, shape, or form. She's very rude. Sounds like grape. Just saying. Yep. Too many Dr. Peppers. Who? Too many Dr. Peppers. Harvey Weinstein is Java face. Okay. Miss Rodriguez feared that Lizzo intended to hit her and would have done so if the other dancers had not intervened. As Lizzo left the room, she raised both her middle fingers and yelled, "Bye, bitch," while Rodriguez was able to leave. The suit says Davis was forced to stay behind by a member of Lizzo's security detail. Davis was allegedly told she would have to remain in the room unless she allowed them to search her phone for the recording. Wanting nothing more than to leave, Davis handed over her phone. There's no trace of recording was found. The suit says when she was finally released, Davis said she hurriedly packed up their things before escaping to the airport with Rodriguez. Besides allegations against Lizzo, other claims in the lawsuit accused Quigley of pushing her religious beliefs onto the dancers. She allegedly singled out Rodriguez as a non-believer and took particular interest in Davis, who she believes was Christian. The suit also Quigley exhibited sexual inappropriate behavior in front of the dancers, simulating oral sex in a banana, preaching in opposition to premarital sex, and posting about Davis's virginity on social media. Despite the plaintiff's effort to report Quigley, BGBT allegedly did nothing. Davis and Rodriguez say that others report inappropriate behavior from the tour bus drivers also went unheard. Additionally, the suit says the company's account scoffed at the dancers' request for a retainer of 50% of their weekly pay, which employees asked for since Lizzo and BGBT allegedly barred them from taking other jobs. The account offered 25%, but scolded them for unacceptable and disrespectful, according to the suit. Only the dance cast, comprised of full-figured women of color, were ever spoken in this manner, giving plaintiffs the impression that these comments were charged with racial and fat-phobic. The dancer's suit seeks an unspecified amount of damage for emotional distress as well as unpaid wages, loss of earnings, attorney's fees. The plaintiffs also requested a jury trial. Yes, Cardi B did throw a microphone at that audience member, and she's actually looking at charges for doing such a thing. for actually throwing a beer at her or a drink at her beforehand. They threw something at her. She threw something back, and she's going to get charged. She's going to get charged this time for actually doing such a thing. It's not the first time that Cardi B did that. One last thing. Now, hold your britches. This is fun. This is very fun. Hey, Caitlin, good to see you, dear. This is fun. I think he got demonetized. Dude, every single day, I have to go back and have to have every single video that I produce reviewed. And it doesn't matter what I say or do, even sweet little conversations like I had with Caitlin on Saturday, I had to actually go ahead and do the same thing. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't, over and over again. Okay, are you ready? Chinese zoo denies its bears are fake. Footage of a mammal eerily standing on its hind legs prompted its social media users to speculate that Hanzhong Zoo was employing human postures. Hangzhou Zoo in eastern China has officially denied allegations of using humans in costumes instead of real bears. Speculation erupted after video footage of one of the zoo's bears went viral online, with many struggling to believe it was a real animal. In the video, the sun bear, called Angela, can be seen standing on its hind legs, waving at visitors and trying to catch food that was being thrown at it. According to many users, the bear's slender legs, folds of fur in unusual proportions, made it look like a human was acting the part. In the statement of the media, the zoo's management insisted that the Malayan sun bear is featured in a video is definitely a real animal. It's definitely not a person wearing a bear costume. You don't say. Nothing to see here, folks. Just seriously. It's so good, so funny. All right. Bears to stand on their hind legs and wave all the time, don't you know? It's not something new. Oh my Lord. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here today. If you haven't done so, please hit the like button. Share this out to places you like to share things to, and let everybody know that where we're at and what kind of stuff that we actually talk about. News, politics, and everything in between. We will actually have a good laugh if we can. Hopefully, I brought you something of interest for the day. I do appreciate you all so much. Really? There's nothing to... You can't... No way. There has to be somebody that's doing something. There's nobody doing anything right now? Oh, Hawaii's live. Let's see if we can't... See if we can't send you somewhere. Okay. Yes, we'll send you somewhere. Again, thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button, share the things out. Rumble side, hit that thumbs up button for me. YouTube side, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the Rumble side up. Check that out. Because if something ever does happen here where I get, completely, totally yeeted for anything whatsoever, I will still continue. I'll be over there. Love y'all so much. Later. We'll give you a little.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.